You're looking at the wonderful city of Philadelphia, where we're welcoming in women's hoop season. All 12 teams in attendance. Players have been working all off season. Their eyes set on the prize, which is that American Conference Championship trophy. The journey starts soon, but we kick off the conversation today here in Philadelphia at the Airport Marriott. Alongside former Georgetown star Monica McNutt, I'm Haley Outen. We're happy to have you with us this afternoon. Monica, UConn the overwhelming favorite to win the American again, but who are some of those other teams that we could see on the rise this season?
Well, I'm certainly looking at the preseason poll, and I'm looking at UCF and USF. Coach Fernandez down in South Florida, no secret what he's been able to do with that program. Been a very formidable opponent at points against UConn. But then, what's Cincinnati going to be up to this year? What will Houston do? Coach Kim McNeil joins ECU. Will that team look different and play different in conference play? There's lots to get into.
Even for the preseason favorite UConn, they're going to be looking a little bit different this year without stars Nafisa Collier and Katie Lou Samuelson. Initially, we're going to dive into them a little bit more, but what are you expecting to see from this UConn team this season?
Well, there's such a tremendous tradition up in stores, Haley, that no one could assume that UConn wouldn't be a power to deal with. You look at what we see in our preseason poll, but they've returned 3 starters. Megan Walker is a kid that I had an opportunity to cover in high school in Virginia, so I'm excited to see her take her game to the next level. And then you've got Kristen Williams, who already showed that she can fill it up on the big time stage. So I'm looking to see UConn reload and be right back at it.
Behind UConn is USF, picked to finish second. Now, Jose Fernandez's squad last year, they suffered from some serious injuries. Do you expect the Bulls to be back in the mix this season?
I do indeed. Sometimes injuries thrust people into the spotlight, but those players stepped up and were ready.
All right, well, we have a lot to talk to today, but for now, we're going to send it over to today's opening remarks. We do it for the one shot, no stopping now. We do it for the glory. One chance to hold the crown. We do it for the glory, glory. We do it for the glory, glory. Iron sharp as iron, so we sharp with the skills. Iron sharp as iron, so we sharp with the skills. We hungry for the glory, then we starving for that meal. We starving for that meal. We hungry for the glory, glory, glory. We do it for the glory.
Welcome, everyone, to American Women's Basketball Media Day here in Philadelphia at the Philadelphia Marriott. I'm Andy Katz from NCAA.com and March Madness. The way this is going to work, we've got live coverage led by Haley Outen over on the far side. She's going to be rotating in guests throughout the course of the afternoon. We're going to have roundtables up here, just like I did with the men, with all of the women's coaches, players, and coaches will be available for all the media to circulate around over the next couple of hours. It's been obviously a year where the conference continues to rise up. Multiple teams in the NCAA tournament, WNIT as well, and a mantra that I know a lot of leagues want to live by, this league certainly has, which is to get old and stay old, with 10 of the 16 first-team players, or all AAC players returning this season. So I think it'll be another banner season where you're going to have multiple teams in multiple postseason tournaments. Mike Oresco, the commissioner in his 8th year here in the American Athletic Conference, he's going to tip off our media day here for the women. Mike?
Thank you, Andy. Always appreciate what you do for us. Obviously, you hosted our men this morning, and appreciate you hosting our women as well. Do a great job for the sport of college basketball. As I mentioned earlier this morning, prior to starting the Men's Basketball Media Day, I couldn't be more excited for the start of this season in our women's league as well. We've got a terrific women's conference. We're extremely proud of our women's basketball. Our programs have achieved success the past 6 seasons, and I expect nothing but more success. Since our inaugural season in 2013-14, all 12 of our programs have made at least one postseason appearance, and our conference has earned 14 bids to the NCAA championship. I'd like to welcome our newest head coach, Kim McNeil, at ECU. She comes to ECU following 3 successful seasons as the head coach at the University of Hartford. We're fortunate to have talented and respected coaches in our league, and I know Coach McNeil will have a great impact on the Pirates program. This league has been known for its coaching. We've got some of the best in the business. But as I said, it's the trajectory of our league that I'm excited about. We've just continued to improve. 2019 marked the second straight season in which we've had 5 teams earn postseason berths, and many programs have enjoyed breakthrough seasons. UCF under head coach Katie Abrahamson Henderson made its first appearance in the 64-team field, NCAA tournament field, since 2011, and that followed a record-setting 26-win season in the program's first appearance in the American Athletic Conference Championship game. The Cincinnati women's basketball team enjoyed a breakthrough year under first-year head coach Michelle Clark-Hurd. The Bearcats achieved their first 20-win season since 2003 and won a school record 24 games, while advancing to the quarterfinals of the WNIT. And the USF Bulls under Jose Fernandez, and Jose's one of our venerable coaches. He's had years of success. The Houston Cougars under Ron Huey also played in the WNIT, marking the second consecutive year the American placed 3 teams in that postseason tournament. And finally, I salute Gino Auriemma and his UConn Huskies as they advanced to the Final Four in 2019 for a remarkable 12th consecutive season. And you know, sometimes we get used to things and we take things for granted, but what UConn has achieved is beyond remarkable. And again, we salute Gino and his team. And having been at the women's Final Fours, I think they've been incredible showcases for the sport of women's basketball. I think the NCAA tournaments have been outstanding, and I think we want to continue to build this great sport. And what will help is our landmark 12-year television media deal with ESPN, which we signed last spring. It's going to enhance the profile of women's basketball. We have more women's basketball appearances on some of the main ESPN networks than we've ever had before. And this year, for example, both USF and Connecticut will play defending champion Baylor and the NCAA runner-up Notre Dame during the regular season, and those obviously will be showcase games. But the exposure we get has been instrumental in building this league over the past 7 years, and it's only going to get better in this new deal. We also have great coverage from CBS and CBS Sports Network. I'd like to thank Jeff Wilson and Matt Bartley from ESPN. They're here today, as well as our friends from CBS Sports and CBS Sports Network, Dan Weinberg, Bess Barnes, and Mariel Brady, and many of you know our network partners. We're very appreciative of these partnerships, and we look forward, obviously, to working with them. As many of you have noticed, and as I mentioned earlier this morning in my men's address, our student athletes and coaches today are wearing the green ribbon lapel pins. And this is in recognition of the American Student Athlete Advisory Committee's Powerful Minds initiative. Its primary focus is to raise awareness of mental health issues and of the resources available to students and student athletes. And also, and this is so important, ending any stigma related to seeking help. This has been a real priority for our conference. You know, we've heard a lot about physical health, and we've heard a lot about nutrition, and we've heard a lot about the weight room and all the different things. But, you know, mental well-being is obviously extremely important. And sometimes we overlook it. We overlook the stresses that, you know, our student athletes are under, that you're part of the student body, and the students in the student body have these stresses as well. And we want to promote success through healthy, powerful minds as well as healthy bodies. I couldn't be prouder to support this initiative, and what I'm really proud of is our SAC group really developed it and decided to make student athlete health and well-being their #1 priority. And we, I think, we're a conference. I'm proud that we as a conference over the last several years have been in the forefront of what I think is just a really, really important effort, and it's been a real priority. I'd like to thank Barb Jacobs, our Associate Commissioner for Women's Basketball. You know, Barb has meant a great deal, obviously, to you, the student athletes, and the coaches in our league, but she's also been a tireless advocate for the women's game nationally, for women's basketball. And she and I talk a lot. We discuss the state of the game. We discuss ways to make an impact, and Barb is absolutely one of your great champions, and I thank her for all she's done. A special thanks also to my staff, the American staff, for their efforts in organizing Media Day. It's another first-rate event here. I think you'll enjoy interacting with the media, meeting the media. The media will get to know you better, some of whom they know already. But this is a first-rate event here at the Marriott. We thank the people at the Marriott again for hosting us here in Philadelphia. I'd like to extend my thanks to their staff. We also appreciate, as I said, the outstanding media coverage that we receive, and we've obviously got media in attendance here, and we're also going to have some of our shows today that will reach a wider audience. What I'd like to say in closing is if there's anything anybody needs today, and our friends from the media, our broadcast partners, let us know. If there's anything we can do for you as you get to meet our student athletes and our coaches. I then want to bring attention to the terrific players, student athletes that we have. They not only play great basketball, but they represent our conference so well. We have always had tremendous sportsmanship in this conference, and I salute you, and I'm proud of you, and I'm proud of all your teammates who obviously are not everyone's here today. But I thank you for that, because that's really important, that we put our best foot forward as a league, and you always do that. And our coaches have a great deal to do with that as well. So I want to thank everyone for what they do to represent our league, to play at the highest level on and off the court, and in your studies too. We have a great academic reputation, and our students do really well in the classroom, and they also do well in community service too, and that's really important. So, again, those are the kinds of things that transcend sports, and I think it's very important to mention that. So again, I wish you all great success this year. I hope you have a great day here today. I think you will enjoy it. I think you'll have a chance again to have some real interaction, and I wish everyone good luck. Enjoy the journey. We all want to win championships. We all want to do great, but the journey is often among the most satisfying things. So please enjoy it, and good luck to you, one and all. Thank you.
Monica, you hear Commissioner Mike Oresco talk about the importance of the journey. As a former student athlete, how special is that journey?
Oh, gosh. And Haley, you did it as well. I was actually on the elevator with the ladies from ECU, Raven Johnson and LaShonda Monk, and literally, I try to stay fit now, right? And this is a small side story, folks, just stay with me. But Raven just has this tremendous definition. She's obviously competing at a high level. And I was joking with them, guys, enjoy it. Because when it's over and you are not mandated to work out for 3 hours and food actually hits and sticks, it's a little bit different. So there's so many parts of the journeys, whether it's your coaches, your teammates, your experiences on campus, the fitness element. You really do want to take time to step back and savor these moments, because when they're gone, you just can't get them back.
Yeah, they go by very, very quickly, as all of us old washed-up athletes will tell you. And then you have to go to work like us. We have a pretty fun job,
Absolutely.
So we're lucky. You heard the commissioner also refer to the 12-year ESPN deal for the game of women's basketball. The fact that all 12 of these teams, 11 starting next year when the deal comes around, how significant is that going to be for the exposure, not only for this league, but for the game of women's basketball?
This weekend, Imani McGee-Stafford went on Twitter and sort of eloquently expressed the need for exposure in the television space for women's basketball. She was talking about the WNBA level specifically, but I think it trickles down. And the analogy that she used was needing a pair of scissors to open a pair of scissors. And so there's this narrative about the interest in women's basketball. Well, if you put it on a stage where people can find it easily, real basketball fans and folks that love the game will appreciate it. And then the audience begins to grow beyond just basketball purists. So I think that deal is tremendous. ESPN has done a great job being at the forefront of moving women's basketball forward, whether it's on the collegiate level or the WNBA level. So I'm super excited. This is going to benefit the conference. It's going to benefit recruiting. And the girls are going to look good when it's time to go on air.
One other topic that we're going to dive into today is the Americans Powerful Minds Initiative. In fact, this is the start of Powerful Minds Week across the conference on the football side. But especially as a former student athlete, how important is it to end that stigma against mental health, having that feeling as an athlete that you can never admit that something is wrong, and you always have to have that tough way about you?
I was talking with Barbara, who Commissioner Mike Oresco mentioned in that speech that he just gave.
Our fearless women's basketball leader.
Fearless women's basketball leader. And I remember when she was giving us instructions on refereeing and what the points of emphasis were back in the day at Georgetown. But that is honestly, Haley, one of the things that I am most proud of to be a part of by association, by being along with the American Conference. as athletes, we are wired to press through. We're wired to push. I can handle it. I just need to toughen up. I need to be mentally tough. But in order to be mentally tough, you have to be mentally healthy. It's the same way that we train our muscles, right? I can't go work out on a strained XYZ, hamstring, whatever you want to call it. You have to be healthy mentally. And I think these conversations are so imperative because within a locker room, even though these girls are teammates, you'd be surprised, and you may remember how much doesn't necessarily get said because of the stigma around it. And so to create an environment where it is truly a safe space, allow me to help you, let's navigate this together, let's figure it out, and not make it something that is seen as an Achilles heel, but something that is just normal and we need to do to be healthy as a whole being, I think it's fantastic.
We have some student athletes in this room today that are certainly playing their part in ending that stigma, and we'll be joined by them a little bit later in the show as we continue that conversation. Monica, let's get back to basketball, though. That's why we're all here in Philadelphia today. Earlier, the preseason coaches poll was announced. UConn, the overwhelming favorite to win the American again. USF, a team that we're used to seeing in that second spot, but the Bulls did face some serious adversity last season with a lot of injuries, but Jose Fernandez's squad is in a pretty good position coming back. You see tied for third, UCF and Cincinnati. The Knights made their first trip to the American Championship game last season. Houston, Temple rounding out that top half. When you initially look at this poll, what initially sticks out to you?
Well, I love the tie for UCF and Cincinnati. I actually think you could have made an argument that obviously the numbers don't bear out a tie, but UCF and USF could be fighting for that second spot as well. So that's something that I'm really interested in when you look at the parity. You remember the standings from last year. Those are teams that had under 5 losses in conference play. I'm excited to see what the top looks like. But obviously, Haley, the top is one thing, but you're always looking for who might be your dark horse. And I gotta say, Wichita State, Coach Keitha Adams, Carla Vermeule, we're gonna have an opportunity to hear from her later on in the show. I'm curious about those guys maybe being a squad that'll surprise.
Michelle Clark-Hurd in her second season at Cincinnati, so picked to finish third, but they made quite the run in the WNIT last year, and in her first season, she was really to get off to a really quick start.
Fantastic. And I don't think that experience in the NIT on the men's side or the WNIT on the women's side should be overlooked. You're talking about establishing a culture. And what I think people don't necessarily realize when you look at the duration of a season, if you're not playing into April, your body is in a different place. You're mentally in a different place. So even though in year one, and this is tip of the cap to Coach Hurd, WNIT, it sets the precedent on what is to come in the future. And I can remember being at Georgetown, freshman year, nothing, sophomore year, NIT, and then my junior and senior year, we went on to the NCAA tournament. But it was something about experiencing the duration of a successful season into the postseason that helps you mentally begin to turn your wheels and prepare. We even way back into preseason for how long you want to be playing basketball.
Yeah, able to get a feel for the postseason and build off of that in the year to come. Moments ago, we were just talking about the new ESPN TV deal that will go into effect next year. But this year, we've got some really great games to look forward to as well on both the ESPN networks as well as CBS Sports Network. Monica, of these matchups, which ones are you circling on your calendar to tune into?
Well, we just talked about it. Some of those teams in the upper echelon when you look at the preseason poll. January 5th, Cincinnati at USF. Down in Tampa, the weather will be warm. The Bearcats might need a break from the snow and the cold that might be up in their home campus. That's going to be a great game. The UCF fans do a great job of coming out and supporting. And then Memphis at Houston, where will they be at that point? It'll be relatively early still in conference play, but it'll be an opportunity for one of those teams to begin to make a statement. And then, of course, anytime UConn is on television, you got to check it out. And USF is probably, and we'll talk to Gino, I'm sure, has probably been one of the programs that has been least fearless when it comes to playing UConn and the Huskies. So I'm excited to see what his squad will cook up. As usual, USF has a ton of international flavor, which I think sometimes presents a little bit of a challenge for a team trying to scout them. But then again, on the other side, UConn, tons of his girls had an opportunity to play in FIBA or the U.S. national team. So it'll be an interesting mix. I think that should be a game that might surprise some folks that might not know.
There will also be some more opportunities to catch American teams live. This, though, on the digital network, 15 games airing in the month of January and February. Monica, I heard you mention the cold. It's going to be pretty cold in these months, but the good thing for you basketball players is you get to be at least inside, sheltered in the gym.
Ellie, you are absolutely right.
I had to be outside and during the elements, so my sympathy is rather loud.
And I understand, and forgive me for complaining. I've already decided that my future kids can't play outdoor sports for that reason. But anyway, I love that the digital network gives an opportunity for us to check out basketball games whenever we want, because even if you don't necessarily catch the original broadcast, you can go back and find the highlights. And I know this is a way that I stay up on what's going on in the conference. we'll just be in the rigmarole of conference play. And so as you look at some of these, if you're looking at these games through the lens of what you just saw in the preseason poll, you might be surprised to see a few upsets here or there because teams will begin to have established their identity by this point. You have scouting reports on what this year's squad looks like, and then you never know how much a difference makes home court advantage when you get to this point of the season.
You can tune into these games January, February, and even that beginning part of March before we head to the conference tournament at Mohegan Sun. All of those games will air live on Facebook, and as Monica mentioned, if you can't catch the game live, you can always catch it on replay there as well. Monica, we turn the page, we look ahead to some of the scheduling in the conference this year, and right off the bat, the strength of schedule for UConn and USF certainly stands out. Those sure to be two of the toughest schedules across the country.
Listen, there used to be a song, Ain't Never Scared, right? Like, those teams ain't never scared, and we know that Gino goes big game hunting. He has a great relationship with other coaches who are renowned nationally in the game of women's basketball, and then Jose Fernandez has been doing this for a while as well. I'm not going to lie, when I looked at the Bulls schedule, I was like, whoa. We are not playing getting into conference play. I mean, he potentially is playing squads that'll be ranked in the top 25. I'm not 100% sure where Texas will be, but other than that, the other 4 big-name teams that he's going to play will be ranked opponents. But, again, we have the conversation about the big picture. UConn, pejorative favorite out of this conference. Let's go and continue to sharpen up our tools before we get into conference play. USF, depending on how things fall, and I agree with Andy Katz this year and Commissioner Oresco, the league is growing, but we're always in a conversation of how do we put ourselves in the best position to get bids for the NCAA tournament. And so if the Bulls go and if UConn goes and knocks off some powers, that definitely matters come tournament time.
Monica, you were at the Final Four in Tampa this year watching UConn, Notre Dame, Baylor, and Oregon, and take UConn out of it, but they're going up against all 3 of those teams in the non-conference schedule.
Man, that is, wow. But you know what? We opened our conversation about the Americans deal with ESPN and then the growth of women's basketball in general, and I think this is an integral part of how the game grows. You go and you play teams that want to see you and that are going to have great basketball games. One that shouldn't be overlooked there is DePaul. Coach Doug Bruno and Gino Auriemma have had a relationship for years, whether it be coaching together on the national side. I mean, all of these games are very, very, I want a good word for this one, bona fide, Haley, are strong opponents. I mean, these are programs that are reputable in women's basketball, and so you know what UConn is going to do. And then this is what I mentioned for USF. That's a task. That's a tall task. I mean, Baylor, Kim Mulkey, Mississippi State, Vic Schaefer, Notre Dame. We know about Muffet McGraw, Texas, Karen Aston.
They forgot to schedule Oregon.
They're missing one, right? But you know what? I think as a coach, going in and scheduling this way speaks to your confidence in your squad. And as a player, I want my coach to have the utmost confidence in me. Sure, it might be a little bit of a doozy. Oh, wow, we're going to go play who? But at the same time, oh, wow, we get an opportunity to go play who? We get a chance to show the world, folks that may not be looking at the American with a microscope, oh, this team is for real. This is a team that we should look forward to in March. And so I applaud the confidence that both of these coaches show in their squads. I applaud the other institutions willing to make the 2-2 or the home and away deal, whatever they decided on. I'm excited. Let's roll the balls out.
Yeah, when you look at non-conference and the challenges that are to come, how vital is it for your team, especially as you look ahead to March and you want to make that postseason run to be battle-tested and maybe come up with some of those wins early on to prove to yourself that your team's got this?
You know, it's so interesting, Haley, because each team's markers are different. UConn, we know that their team on average, they're beating opponents plus 15 easily. And so I think for them to go and play some of these marquee programs, you're right, it's a different level of battle testing for them. But even win or lose, you take those experiences into conference play, and in their locker room, on their bulletin board, where there are no cameras, they have their own markers on what success looks like. And I think it's the same for Coach Fernandez and the USF Bulls, particularly because that's a squad that can find themselves on a bubble. We saw the tough breaks that they had last year with the plethora of injuries. And so the more they can do to solidify, one, their confidence within one another as they go into conference play, the better off they'll be. And then obviously the RPI matters. I mean, no one will dispute that USF belongs in the NCAA tournament should they go and knock off the 4 teams that we just saw them scheduling in their non-conference.
The dream for any player to not only get to play in that NCAA tournament, but to hopefully punch your ticket to that Final Four. And lucky for us getting to attend some of these Final Fours, we get sent to some pretty cool locations.
Yes,
and this year, the Final Four is headed to New Orleans.
Ooh, I love New Orleans.
Center. That's going to be a fun one.
I love New Orleans. It's going to be fantastic. The folks in New Orleans are so warm. They're so welcoming. I don't know that it has necessarily the same sort of basketball culture that we saw in Tampa, largely in credit due to USF and a lot of the Florida schools in that area. But I know that when the Final Four was in was in New Orleans 4 years ago, I was very sad that I wasn't there. This year, I'll be there.
Well, as you alluded to earlier, there might have to be some extra workouts that week because there's a lot of good eating to do in New Orleans. So
For sure.
Looking forward to that. But before the Final Four in New Orleans, there's a lot that's going to take place. Particularly, what comes first is the American Conference Tournament at Mohegan Sun, which is one of the most successful women's basketball tournaments around the country. Monica, how unique of a location is that? Especially, it's in UConn's backyard, but that's a pretty good turnout for women's basketball.
Listen, Mohegan Sun holds it down, okay? That is a fantastic place to play women's basketball. I imagine it will be a wonderful turnout for men's basketball as well, but let's stay focused on the women's team. As you know, the Connecticut Sun, who fell in the WNBA championship this year, also play there in that arena. That is an area that is just starved for great, I shouldn't say starved, they are hungry because they have a great buffet of great women's basketball and they consume it, they eat it all up. They are there, they are loud, they are proud. The Mohegan has done a great job of marketing in the area and it's just a super cool location. Watch the game, go down to Ben & Jerry's, get some ice cream, grab some food in the food court named after all the fantastic UConn players. It's a great spot to be.
We don't leave the Airport Marriott here in Philly at Basketball Media Day, and if you head to Mohegan Sun, you actually don't have to leave there either because you have everything you need inside.
Right,
hotel, restaurants, a great product of basketball to watch. But UConn has certainly demonstrated their dominance in that conference tournament, winning the last 6 American championship titles. And Monica, pretty surreal to think over the last 6 years, the Huskies have never lost an American championship regular season game or title game.
I was actually preparing for today with a friend on the phone, semi-distracted, I'll admit. And he said the same thing. He's like, have they lost in conference? I'm like, as a matter of fact, they haven't. But I think that is tremendous. It speaks to the legacy of the UConn program. We know who Gino Auriemma is. We know the type of players that he continues to produce. But to me, to have an off night can happen as an athlete. And so for these players to stay locked in over that duration of time and not allow the ball to drop, so to speak, I mean, that's just something that is so impressive.
Well, speaking of, let's take a look back at the last 6 years for UConn women's basketball in the American Championship game.
You're watching the American Athletic Conference Women's Basketball Championship from Mohegan Sun in Connecticut.
Has Stewie all alone.
Number 1 Connecticut puts its unbeaten record on the line.
And USF is really fighting here against Connecticut.
Gino Auriemma's club wins the American Conference again.
Katie Lou Samuelson drills a 3.
Nice cut that time, feed inside.
Samuelson down low, using every inch of her 6'3" frame, beating USF in the championship game for the 3rd straight time.
UConn Huskies as they try to make it 5 for 5.
The steal by Williams.
Nurse, yes.
What a way to end an unbelievable quarter.
Dangerfield to Stevens, who runs the floor. The American champions for 2018. For the 5th time, it's UConn.
Yep. They get the steal with Williams. Tight feed to Collier for 2. The UConn Huskies, 6 years in the league, 6 regular season titles, and 6 tournament championships.
Chances of a 7th or remote.
We're now joined by UConn head coach Gino Auriemma, just looked back at 6 straight American championship titles. Coach, you mentioned some of the great players that have come through this program that has led your team to those championships. In your 35th season, as you head into this year, where does this group compare to some of those that you've coached, especially here in the American in recent years?
Well, you know, we were just talking about that over here, about how every team that we've had, just the last 6 years, has had multiple All-Americans on it. Players that weren't just maybe the best player in the league, they were the best players in the country. So this is the first time in the 6 years we've been in this league where we don't have that, where nobody's looking at our players and going, wow, you know, they have 3 of the best players in America, and a couple of those guys are going to be first-team All-American for sure. Why? Well, because they did it last year too. So it's all like brand new for these kids. Like, who's going to be that go-to Fisa, Lou, Gabby, Kia, Stewie, Mariah, Tuck? Who's going to do that? And the danger is I will. And everybody thinks they have to be, instead of my challenge is how do I get them collectively to be as good as last year's team. It's a challenge.
From what you can tell so far.
Coach,
You're Monica laugh.
Why?
It's a challenge, but look at your track record. You're up for the challenge?
I know. But that's like, look at my track record. But my track record is I've always had the best race car, so it's easy to win races.
Okay, fair
now
enough.
it's like a little more, I'm realistic enough to know, when I walk into a situation and I go, listen, there's nobody that can beat us in a million years. And I've had those teams. You all have seen them. I'm realistic. I don't feel that way now. I go to practice now and I watch us practice and I'll go, man, we look as good as we did last year. And then I'll go for half an hour and I'll go, I don't think we're going to win any games. No, I'm saying the highs and lows this year are much, much greater.
So for you, obviously you've done this. We talk about your track record.
Yeah.
Have you had to tap into a different muscle in order to get this group going? How much are you growing as a coach?
Yeah. I'm shrinking as a coach. It's wearing my butt out. We've only had like 3 Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We've had 4 real practices so far. Some people have been going a lot longer, but we've had 4 practices. And I can honestly say at the end of all 4 of those days, I was exhausted because everything just takes longer. Everything takes longer. We have 4 new players on our team. We have a bunch of kids playing new roles. And we have 3 kids that started every game last year. So whoever our 4th starter and our 5th starter are untested. Who number 6 and number 7, number 8 are unknown. So every day it's, all right, this is how you get in your stance, this is how you move your feet, this is how you make this. It's like you're starting at the very, very beginning. So it's challenged me to go back in time to like, whew, guys, I didn't mind when I was 35, but man, I'm 65, man, this is a lot. Help me out here.
Coach, you mentioned some of the questions on this year's team, but your players are going to have to get caught up to speed pretty quickly because you have a very challenging non-conference schedule this year. This is like a look back at last year's Final Four. How important is it going to be for your players to get that experience, though, in these games, especially as you look towards the goal every year of making it to the postseason?
Yeah, when you look at that, you go, oh, my God. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Woo! And that's not counting Virginia, Vanderbilt. Wow. Look, in women's basketball, I found out a bunch of years ago that if we would put together an amazing schedule, and this was even back in those days when we had 9 teams going to the NCAA tournament, then we're going to be on national television more than anybody else in the country. So everybody might have their favorite teams around the country, but everybody's going to see us play. So when I see these teams on the schedule, I go, this takes us to all parts of the country, and it exposes us to a lot of different places. And it exposes our players to a lot of different styles of play. And when we get to the NCAA tournament, there's really nothing we haven't seen. So I show the players the schedule, and the look on their face is like, oh. And whereas last year they go, yeah, well, we got feast and liver, no problem. I just do my part. Now they're like looking around going, oh, it's on me. So it's exciting for them, and it's a little bit, I think, nervous for them.
In the last 35 years, when was the last time you coached a team with a similar makeup where you didn't have All-Americans and these star players returning?
I tried to think about this recently, and I want to say 2005. So it's about 15 years ago, right after Diana graduated. So when Diana graduated, the players coming back were all kids that had played on a national championship team with Dee, but none of them, 5, 6, 7, those 3 years, none of them became first-team All-American. And we still won a lot of games, but that's the last time I can remember where we didn't have, a couple guys that everybody in the country went, oh my God, there's no way you can, you can't guard those guys. Now, that's not to say that by January or February, a couple of our guys will turn out to be that way.
We expect some of that.
I mean, if you talk to them, please tell them Coach is expecting that.
All right, Coach. Well, speaking of that, current roster. Let's go through some of the young ladies with you here today. Crystal Dangerfield, your point guard, one of those returning starters. What can we expect out of her this year? Or what do you need from her?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because sometimes, Crystal is, throughout her career, Crystal is spectacular. And then sometimes she's just average. And sometimes she's good. So Crystal runs through a lot of different phases of who she is. If you remember last season when we played UCLA in the Sweet 16 game, and we were in danger of maybe not winning that game. In the fourth quarter, she just took over the game. Single-handedly won that game.
Yep, I do indeed remember that one.
So now you say, well, where are we going with this, Crystal? Is that who you're going to be this year? Because if you're not, we're not going back to that game. And now you see Megan. Same thing. Megan's had games where you say, she's the next Connecticut superstar. And then, you'll see her like in the Louisville game last year where they said, well, we're not guarding Megan Walker. And she just comes down, bang, 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 And they go, okay, which Megan Walker are we going to get this year? Can she get 20 every night like Fisa did? Can she rebound the way Fisa did? Can she play better defense? If we get those things from her, then we're going back to that game.
Do you then leave this as an open-ended question to your girls? Who is going to show up? Or do you say, this is who has to show up for us to be successful?
Well, like I said, here's the danger. Watching practice the first week, we've got guys on our team now that are trying so hard to be that person that they're trying too hard.
Okay.
So I'll say to them, why do you feel like you have to do all that? We don't need you to do all that. We need you to do this. So I have to make sure that everybody realizes I don't have to be Superman, Superwoman. I just got to do my part. You do yours, you do, and then we'll put it all together. Because the danger is, I got this. That's not good. That's not good.
The third of your returners is Kristen Williams, the Americans Freshman of the Year. She started all 38 games last season. Who is the Kristen Williams we're going to see this year now that she has a season under her belt?
Well, here's what I want. I want the Kristen Williams you saw doing this and the Notre Dame game where she just busted out. People forget the Final Four game. I think she ended up with like 20 or 19. She played great in that game. So now she's a year older, and she still is an explosive scorer and really, really is uniquely talented and a unique scorer. And now we need her to be that every night. Lou made a lot of threes. So Kristen's going to have to make a lot more of them than she did last year.
Yeah, all right, so then we got this one.
This one's driving me crazy right now. She is driving me absolutely crazy. You know why? Because the conversations that I have with Liv are, Liv, you have to play 35 minutes every night. You have to be great. And she goes, yeah, okay. She goes, well, I want to be an All-American. I want to win a national championship. I said, well, there's no reason why you can't. Then we'll go to practice, and she'll foul the first 3 possessions. I'll go, Liv, you're going to foul out. We can't afford that. So it's learning for her. This is how good I am, but I have to get smarter so that I can stay in the game, that I can contribute more. Because I'm looking around the league, and I'm saying, I don't think there's anybody like her in the league, 6'5" and that athletic. Then you look around the country and you go, and she's shooting the ball better. I think maybe that experience with the national team in September really helped her. So we're expecting amazing things from her this year.
What is it about her experience with the Olympic team over the summer that can help her game grow?
Well, I think she realized how physical it is, and she learned how smart those guys are, how they can, not waste a lot of energy doing dumb stuff, how to position themselves so that things are a little bit easier for them. So that really helped her. And I just gave her a lot of confidence that I can do this. But Liv is really hard on herself but in the wrong way. Like when she makes a mistake or things don't go her way, she really gets down on herself. She's her own worst enemy. So we've got to help her through that. But I'd be shocked if she's not an all-conference player at the end of the year.
When you look back at Crystal Dangerfield's career, it's become sort of this expectation at UConn to just go to the Final Four, and that you play at UConn and you should walk away with a national championship.
That's right.
Crystal is one of those players that has yet to do that. What is your perception of her mentality heading into her senior season with that last shot at getting that done?
I know. Sometimes, I don't bring it up often, but I kid her. I say, you only got one more shot at it.
You love doing this.
You're going to be the first guy, and I don't know how long, to go through 4 years here and not have a national championship. Oh my God. Man, I'd hate to be you. Like just enough, to get her motivated. Get them, put a little zinger in there once in a while. But we've had some amazing guards in our program, and by any stretch, the way you want to measure it, if you look at her 3 years, and then you look at anybody else's 3 years, how many guards in America today that are starting on their team can say, I've been to the Final Four every year I've been in college? So she's accomplished something that very, very few kids get to do. And now I know nobody wants to win a championship more than she does. And my challenge with Crystal is, Crystal's personality is very low-key, very laid-back, doesn't say much. And that's good, and it's not, because that person that's got the ball, that's a senior with all these young players in the lineup, it's got to be a little more assertive, and it's got to be a little more, demanding of her teammates, and that doesn't come natural for her. So I'm helping her with it. And the way I help her is I blame her for everything. So now she gets on those other guys, like, I'm getting tired of getting blamed for this. You guys need to do this.
Sounds like she may be taking the brunt of this.
Oh, for sure. What is she? She's 5'6"?
She's right over here.
What is she like 5'6"? By the time this season ends, she's going to be like 5'3".
All right, Coach. Well, thanks so much for stopping by. Looking forward to the season ahead. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to hear from two UConn players themselves, Kristen Williams and Crystal Dangerfield. Stay with us.
The American is committed to ending the stigma related to seeking help for mental health conditions.
If you have a mental health condition, know you're not alone.
Anxiety disorders are the most common mental health issues in the United States, and more than 30% of student athletes have experienced overwhelming anxiety.
Listen to your teammates and others about what they are going through.
Think about the words you choose, avoid labels, and use stigma-free language when communicating.
Build and use support systems with friends and family.
Asking for help can be difficult, but seeking help to improve your health, academic, or athletic performance or another goal is a sign of strength.
Hope.
Educate.
Awareness. Listen. Talk.
Help.
There are resources on your campus and in your community for help.
The American, building healthy, powerful minds.
We're live in Philadelphia for American Women's Basketball Media Day. Going on behind us, our Coaches Roundtable. So if you have interest in listening to the league's head coaches, head over to Twitter at American_WBB. We're now joined by two UConn stars, Crystal Dangerfield and Kristen Williams. Thanks to both of you for stopping by. So we just had Coach on the set. We got to get this out of the way. Crystal, for you, heading into your senior season at UConn and playing for Coach all of these years, it sounds like he's been giving you kind of a hard time here this offseason. How has he been motivating you as you head into your final year at UConn?
He's just saying, I have to turn myself into a pro, and first things first is treating your body the right way. So that's the first thing I'm trying to do, is be healthy for my teammates this season.
That's the first. That's the second thing.
The second thing is, being a good leader, and they come in different ways. I feel like I'm more of a quiet person. So
we heard.
I'm sure.
Okay, so look, are you going to give us Beyonce, Sasha Fierce? Like, how are you going to?
No.
Is it going to be an alter ego? Like, how are you going to take that step as a leader?
It's going to have to be, but I think more my teammates are seeing my personality come out onto the floor the times that I'm out there with them. So I think that's helping.
Kristen, as a younger player on this team, and even though Crystal may be a little bit on the quieter side, how, from your perspective, does she help lead this team?
Oh, Crystal, you're a great leader.
Thank
you.
We're talking so much trash.
No, she's definitely the floor general out there. Like, we love having her on the floor. If we're in a bad time, she always steps up at the perfect time. So, yeah, you're great. You're doing great.
You need these nice comments to balance it out. Kristen, coming off of that postseason run last year, you were a freshman and in a unique experience at UConn, getting to play and start in all 38 games. What experiences and learning lessons can you take away from how your season ended in the Final Four last year to help push you into this season?
Yeah, I learned a lot last year. I was very fortunate to have the season I had last year. I think from my experience last year will definitely help us this year. Just learning to grow into that leadership role by paying attention to Crystal and Meg. I think last year's season was very important, and I think it'll help me a lot this year.
So much has been made about this year's roster, and even Coach said it, maybe not this All-American, that All-American. Obviously, you lose Katie Lou, Nafisa. He talked about the dynamics in practice and you guys kind of figuring out your roles. Are you having conversations with one another? Are you leaning on him? How is that part going as you guys prepare for this season?
I think when we hit a wall in practice and it's like stuff isn't going right, people naturally feel into what they should be doing. We have people that follow the leaders. And it's really like it's that kind of game that we start playing, and he sees who steps up and who's saying the right thing at the right time, does the right thing, and is like making the tough play and being a person that we can lean on team.
We got an affirmation this way, but Crystal, what do you need from Kristen to help you be great?
That dog,
Come on.
Look, no, Kristen, and I've had conversation with the coach. Like you can score it just about anywhere on the floor you want to at any time. So that's what we're gonna need from her at all times this year.
Seeing the freshman season that Kristen had, though, what is your advice to her, American Freshman of the Year? How do you keep taking that next step in your game and not just get complacent after having a good freshman season?
No, I think this summer definitely helped her. You know, she was never home. Like you were gone out the country, playing basketball the entire summer. So I think keeping that aggressiveness that you took with the 3-on-3 and everything else is gonna help you.
Yeah, the 3-on-3 experience had to have been pretty cool. The first time the USA team has brought home a medal from that 3-on-3 competition, rather. What was like some of the highlights from that experience for you?
It was a great experience. The Pan American Games were so fun. It was just cool to see all the different sports and stuff there. It was very exciting to win a gold medal. I mean, of course, it's really hard, but with the help of my teammates, we got it done. Yeah.
When the Big Three became a thing, I was like, this is not real basketball. But for you guys, it's real basketball. Yeah. But it is very different than traditional. What's the biggest key to being successful in that space?
It's very different. You only have 3 people on the floor, so the other 2 people, like, you don't have them. So. Okay, hold on.
Thank you for the math lesson.
I know. I know. So, like, offensively, it's harder. Everybody has to be engaged, and paying attention to detail is very important because, like you said, I only have 3 people on the floor, and there's a 10-second shot clock. So everybody has to stay engaged at all times.
Gotta be scorers out there.
Also, you have to be in really good shape.
I was just
it's only half court, but it's like very intense the whole game. Yeah. So yeah.
Some good fitness getting ready for preseason. Just 4 practices in, so I'm sure you got a ways to go. But Crystal, Coach was mentioning looking back to the Final Four and just sort of that expectation of coming to UConn and that expectation every year to make it to the Final Four, and that if you're a player there, that you're kind of just supposed to leave with the national championship, but that's still something that you're searching for. He mentions that he's brought this up to you and kind of given you a hard time about it on numerous occasions. Like, are you going to leave UConn without that ring? How do you kind of channel all
Haley,
of that?
No pressure.
She can watch the show back, you know.
Haley's making it worse, Crystal. Don't worry about it.
Oh, no. But honestly, how does that help fuel you as you look ahead to this season to make that become a reality for yourself?
I mean, that's the reason I came here. I wanted to come here and have a national championship title. But, I mean, first 2 years the chips didn't fall that way, and I think we all took responsibility. Like whoever's on that team, we took responsibility for why we didn't come away with that. And so I think this year definitely I'm trying to do whatever I can to make sure that we, one, get back into that situation, and two, we actually come out with it.
How do you balance the urgency and then enjoying the moment? Because girl, this is it. It's going to end after this.
Right now it's been kind of tough, you know, because it's everything is my first last or last first, whatever it is. I'm just like,
we know what you mean.
Yeah, I'm like, I want to take everything in that aspect, but at the same time, like, work has to be done.
This is it. Yeah. I got you.
Well, appreciate the journey. It's been a heck of a ride so far, and looking forward to the great season ahead for both of you.
Thank
So
you.
thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, turning the page here at Media Day, Monica, let's talk some ECU women's basketball. They have a new head coach at the helm, in Kim McNeil. She became the program's 10th head coach in March, and she spent the previous 3 seasons at the University of Hartford. What is your impression of that hire at ECU?
Well, I must say that I'm a little connected to Kim McNeil as family. Her husband, Corey McNeil, was my coach at Georgetown. He was one of the assistants at Georgetown. And so I'm expecting this squad to bring the pressure defensively. I'm expecting them to get up in people's faces to disrupt. And then I also want to see them be able to score at a pretty solid clip. So she's got some great guards on that squad. Raven Johnson is someone who can rebound. We know about the talents of LaShonda Monk. I want to see how they put it all together. I think for them, the preseason poll, in a way, will give them a little bit of wiggle room, maybe, and then they have the opportunity to surprise some folks.
All right, well, I had a chance to catch up with head coach Kim McNeil last night. Coach, gearing up for your first season in Greenville, what is your first impression of the group that you inherited?
You know, a group of hungry kids. You know, they're hungry for stability. They're hungry for, you know, just getting a system implemented. The energy's been great, and Greenville's been great so far.
One of your seniors, Raven Johnson, in attendance with you today. What have you learned about her up to this point?
Raven is full of personality. You know, she's by far one of the hardest working kids on our team. But off the court, she's full of personality. She's joking. She loves to dance. You know, she just brings a great energy to our team.
LaShonda Monk here with you today as well. Why is she so special and a key to this team?
You know, LaShonda is probably complete opposite from Raven, more quiet, more reserved, but she gets her work done in a quiet, efficient way. You know, she's got to be a really good leader for us this year, and she's got to bring a different element to the team.
For fans looking forward to basketball in Greenville, what style of play can they expect to see from your team?
Very up-tempo. Defensive-minded team is going to get after it. You know, we're very blue-collar. You know, our games won't always be pretty. You know, we're going to try to create a lot of turnovers and get up, you know, fast tempo and an offensive end of the floor. But a group that's going to work hard, play together, and have fun.
As you look to build this program, how would you describe what culture you anticipate implementing?
Family. Family first. That's what we're all about. That's what we're built upon. Our motto is FAB, Family, Academics, and Basketball. And, you know, we've taken this last 6 months or so to create relationships with the players, and so that they truly know that we really care about them more than just about basketball.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck in your first season. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, head coach Kim McNeil there. And this is the guard she's talking about, LaShonda Monk. She can score 13.2 points a game, almost 4 rebounds a game, but she also had 116 steals. She was 5th in the nation in steals per game, and so it's her quickness. She has the ability to get into the paint. She hunts the paint, so to speak, and then she can pass the basketball as well. You see her there creating in transition. Coach McNeil coming to ECU is perfect for her game. You heard her talk about the defensive pressure that she wants to create. Boom, you got somebody that was top 5 in the country in steals per game, and she's a quick guard. So it could not be a better situation for LaShonda Monk and teaming up with Coach McNeil. And then you've got Raven Johnson, who's someone who obviously, you see there, those numbers, crushes the glass. She was the best rebounder on the team. She made the biggest jump from her freshman to sophomore year, so I'm excited to see what the jump is going to be in her junior year. I think in a system where you are creating up-tempo and creating pressure, someone like Raven will have the advantage in terms of attacking the defensive glass and then getting the ball out. She'll have the green light to crash and maybe slouch off a little bit defensively. So Raven's rebounding numbers probably go up. I think she's tremendous in transition. Her scoring numbers probably go up, and then LaShonda Monk continues to be the head of that snake.
ECU picked to finish 11th in the preseason coaches poll, but with the new head coach and Kim McNeil at the helm, what is that first step that gets taken for a program that's in a rebuild and just looking to take a step in the right direction?
You know, I love having these conversations with first-year head coaches because you ask them what honestly was the first thing that you said to your team. The recruiting process can be very tricky in that players go to the coaches that are there when they're being recruited, and when that changes, you have to reassure these kids that they are safe here, that I'm a coach that you can trust, because you hear conversations where coaches say, well, that wasn't really my kid, and it doesn't necessarily work out. But when I tell you the squad that is down at ECU fits what Kim McNeil likes to do, I mean that 100%. And so I love that she said it was about family and creating some trust, because I think people negate the importance of relationships sometimes in sports. If you know your coach has your back, if you know your teammates have your back, you'll run through the wall for them. And so when you establish the family first, and then we get into the nitty-gritty and the height of competition and practice, where sometimes I might have to yell at you and it gets a little ugly, I understand that this is to make us all better.
Establishing that culture, certainly relying on this year's returners. One of those other players being junior guard Ariana Williams. She only played in 15 games last season, Monica, started 4, but she led this ECU group in three-point shooting percentage.
She did. She was just shy of 30%. Now, you mentioned the 15 games. I'm expecting her percentage to go up. I'm hoping that she can stay healthy and spend more time on the floor. What I know about Kim McNeil is that in that up-tempo, her players that show that they are working on their craft have the green light to shoot the basketball. So, Ariana Williams, if she can stay healthy and she can knock down that shot at a prolific clip, she will have a green light.
All right, well, as you can see, we're now joined here by UCF head coach Katie Abrahamson-Henderson and senior guard KK Wright. Thanks to you both for taking a few minutes here at Media Day to join us. Coach, your program is coming off its first NCAA appearance since 2011. You earned an at-large bid. What step did your program take collectively to really make a big jump last year?
I think, for our team and just my coaching staff and just the team, the family atmosphere, the work ethic, the energy that we put into it, the consistency that we put in, and we just play our style of game. And we don't try to change for anybody else, and we just try to be who we are. And I think just the hard work that our players put in and the vision that our coaches gave to them, our players really bought in.
We have your senior guard, KK Wright, here with us today, named one of the preseason players of the year.
Yeah.
How deserving is that honor?
Yeah.
Work to be done in the season, but how deserving is it at this point?
Yeah, I just got goosebumps when you said it, because I think a lot of people think that, young people just wake up flawless. Well, I mean, Beyonce did, but KK, she really, really put in the work, and I think young people out there need to understand that great players don't get great. They actually put in work, or more work than the average player. So she really put in the work. I have a great assistant coach, Tani Valerio, that's a point guard coach and teaches the game very well, and put a lot of time in working with KK in the summers, and they made a consistent schedule where they were in the gym working on her game, and and KK had to buy in. If she didn't buy in, it wouldn't have worked, and so I think she's worked so hard to get in this position. And the greatest thing about KK is it's more about her team, it's more about her family, it's more about UCF, it's more about Nice Nation than her getting this award, but she deserves it. She's put in the work, really has.
I'm sure all that is true and that you are the consummate team player, but when you got the news, what went through your mind?
When I got the news, I was very excited. I was shocked at first, but when you put in the work and when you buy in, you get rewarded.
Is that simple?
Yeah, I think so. Work.
All right, so then is it now pressure, though, at all? Do you feel like you need to be in this conversation come the end of the season for Player of the Year?
Yes, of course. I still think I need to work. I still think I have things to improve on. My teammates and I, we have to, win some games and, show what we can do. But I'm not nervous at all. Just excited about the season.
Coach Abe knows I love the style that you guys play. We all about that creating havoc, that pressure defense, that three-quarter court. But last season, as you guys are going through the rigmarole, was there a point that it clicked for you and your teammates? Hey, we're an NCAA tournament team. We're pretty good.
Yes, I think from the very beginning we knew we had a very special group. We worked really hard day in and day out, and it came to show at the end of the season. We had our goals, we stuck to them, and we worked our plan.
KK, you're an Orlando native. How special has it been helping grow this program over the last few years with Coach Abe?
It's been very special. I take so much pride in UCF, Night Nation, and all what Orlando can have. From day one, I think I just saw vision, and Coach Abe had it, and our program has it, and the sky's the limit for us. We're just excited, and we're just going to keep building and building.
You say sky's the limit. Your program made its first trip ever to that American Championship title game last year. How hungry is this group to get back there and not walk away empty-handed?
I want some steak and lobster.
There you go. Come on.
Yeah, we're hungry. So, that's just our motivation. That's what pushes us in practice. Coach Abe always reminds us, that step, that extra leap. So we're just going to keep building and getting better.
So then what does success look like this season, Coach? What does success look like?
Well,
for
you know,
you?
we have 9 new players. I mean, I don't think anybody knows that. So
I noticed.
We have 9
notice.
new players, and the thing about it, we have our core unit back, and we have some phenomenal leadership in KK and Mossany and Diamond Battles, who was a freshman last year. Now she's a sophomore. She's a completely different person, player, everything. So it's super excited to see a sophomore, a junior, and a senior leading this team, which in the future it's going to keep developing. But 9 new players, you know, they've bought in really quickly. They got great leaders. I mean, and because our best player, which is KK, is the most humble person ever, and if your best player is one of your hardest workers, the most humblest person ever, everybody behind her follows. Does that make sense? So it's like, it's not like everybody's got to go and play for KK. KK's like, we got to play together. We got to do this together. I need your help. And that's the kind of atmosphere KK really brings and Mossany brings, and same with Diamond.
You mentioned 9 newcomers,
I was saying,
but also that.
I caught that, Coach. You didn't answer me, but it's okay. Go ahead, Haley. Sorry.
You mentioned 9 newcomers, but that you have your core group returning.
Yeah.
How crucial is this year going to be for those newcomers to absorb what these older players know?
Right, because last year we played 12. I mean, 12 deep, and we had some breaks, and KK had breaks, and because of the style of play we play, we need to be deep. And so I think we talk about that every single day in practice, like what's your role going to be, what's your goal is going to be, you know, how many minutes you want to be out there. You got to give people breaks. We got to be in great shape. If we're going to play this way, we have to be super healthy, we have to be super fit, but you got to have, you know, mental toughness to be able to do it and give people breaks. So, you know, the 9 new players are really buying in. Some of them can't play because they're transfers, or, you know, some of them are season injuries, but the people that are healthy, it's really exciting to see them. I'm like, woo, she's really bought in right away, and we're still early. We're about 13 practices in, so we still have a lot of practices to go and a lot of games to play before our conference even starts, so they're going to get even better.
How have all of those new faces challenged you as a leader?
I think it's really cool just to see how far my leadership could be stretched. So I think just me having to, you know, get in them and, you know, let them know our culture and just be a great leader and, you know, just show them the ropes.
Mm-hmm.
We saw you have this breakout season and kind of become the face of this UCF program last year. Preseason Player of the Year today, but how is your game going to take that next step this season?
I just think the sky's the limit. I just think.
Girl, don't do that.
Yeah.
No. How is your game? Not the sky's the limit.
So I have Monica
Come
here.
on, give me some basketball.
I'm going to shoot it.
Okay.
I'm going to shoot it, you know.
Okay.
Pretty deep.
You're going to make those
shots.
shots.
Yeah, I'm going to make those shots. Yeah, Coach A was like, make, not shoot. But yeah,
Please.
I'm definitely going to be, just be confident, you know.
Okay.
Just being confident in my shot, in my range, you know, in the process, in the work that I put in, you know.
Got it.
KK, a clear leader, but who is a younger player that you hope over the course of this season can take a page out of KK's book and hopefully be the future of this program in terms of leadership and setting the tone for your group on the court?
Well, I mentioned him before. Obviously, Mossany's a tremendous leader on the floor, a tremendous energy, a tremendous voice. And then in terms of point guard leadership, it's Diamond Battles, for sure. She's a local kid. She's from, you know, Florida, and she came to UCF because she admired KK Wright so much, and she wanted to, you know, almost be like her. And now to see her out there, and now they're going to play so much together this year, it's going to be hard to just guard KK. You know, Mossany is so much better and so much more confident and such a great leader and such in great shape that it's going to be hard just to guard KK, right? So it's like we got a lot of other players besides KK, which should free up KK. If not, then we have other players that are going to be open. So I think those 3 are our key leaders in everything we do, and it's exciting to see.
Well, thank you both so much for your time. Best of luck. Excited to see what your team can accomplish this season. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we are going to continue this conversation here at American Women's Basketball Media Day. Monica, let's shift gears a little bit, and we're going to talk Wichita State. They're led by third-year head coach Keitha Adams. Wichita picked to finish 9th in this year's preseason poll. And Monica, last night you had a chance to catch up with sophomore guard Carla Bremo.
All right, Carla Bremo of Wichita State. Congratulations on a fantastic freshman season. How would you assess your first year?
I mean, I think I did like a really good season, but I think it's like also because of the team. The L team like really helped me a lot for that, and I wasn't nervous at all. Like that was my second year in the United States after my senior year in high school, and I think I took everything step by step and I gave my best, and I think that's why.
You are one of few players that managed to play in every game. What do you credit your durability and your ability to stay healthy and productive?
I mean, I used to practice a lot, like since I'm 12, like because I was in high school in France, like that helped me like to practice a lot. So I got this habit like since I'm 12, like to go sleep early, try to eat healthy all the time, stuff like this. So I think that's helped me a lot like to this year.
One of the things I know that Coach Adams is looking to do this year with you guys is score the basketball more.
Yes.
But you've also got 8 underclassmen, including yourself. What are you guys focusing on in order to be a more efficient and high-powered offense?
This year we're gonna like try to run more the like a fast break, and I think like we really able to do it because how like we're doing a lot more conditioning, and like I really think the team is getting better. We're like in better shape, and it's going to be like really good, like I think in offense.
Now, Carla, back in my day, I also was a shooter, okay? So we share that.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite things in the game is to pull up from the three-point line in transition basketball. Is that something that you'll have the green light to do?
I mean, I didn't do a lot that last year, but I try to work on it because I feel like it's a really good feeling when that happens. Really.
You love it?
Yes, I do. But
it's one of my favorite things. All right, so we're going to wrap this thing up. As you guys head into the 2019-2020 season, I need 2 words to describe your Shockers squad and why.
I would say hard worker and more like family.
Okay. Why?
Because I feel this year we have like really a good like chemistry, and not even on the court but also off the court, and I think it's going to be really helpful for like for this season coming up.
Hardworking and family. So does that mean that the 3rd word could be underrated? Like you guys will surprise some people, you think?
I think yes. We will.
All right, Carla, we're looking forward to seeing you guys in action. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carla Brimu hoping that her Shocker team can surprise some people this season. Monica, getting to catch up with her last night. What was your favorite part about your conversation?
Our conversation about pulling up for threes in transition. Easily. I mean, I'd live for a 3 in transition. But I also think you got to remember that she's only a sophomore. And so she plays with tremendous confidence, and I think that's something that will trickle down into the rest of this squad, led by Coach Keitha Adams. She's got an all-around game, and we were chatting a little bit about the WNBA Finals, where we saw Emma Meeseman pick up the Finals MVP award, another European player. Carla doesn't have the size of Emma, but when you talk about all around and being able to pick her spots, I mean, she's just a tremendous guard. And so I love her jump shot. It is so pure. She gets her feet square so quickly and releases that thing so high. So I'm super excited to see. I know that a focus for this squad is going to be scoring more this year. Seraphine Basson is another guard who's going to have a key role in that, and she's here today as well with Carla. She does a great job of finding the paint and finishing through contact. And in order for a team to begin to pick up the tempo, it starts with your guards. You can have Vermouth running the lane, filling the lanes for those transition threes or even for potential layups. But if you've got your guard that's pumping and pounding the rock to get downhill, I love the 7 points and the 5 rebounds from her. So I think she's going to be key to picking up the tempo for this squad as well. And then finally,
go ahead.
Jada Hampton. I'm sorry, Haley, you're on a roll. We're talking Shockers. We're on a roll. Jada has great size, and so I think that's something that makes me really, really excited about what she can do. I'd like to see her rebound more this season, just shy of 3 rebounds last season, but I think if she can put together both her size and her ability to score, she's got a decent little mid-range shot, and she can finish in the paint, then I think that will help again with that up-tempo, trying to put more points on the board for the Shocker squad.
All right, Wichita State again picked to finish 9th, and we'll see what head coach Keitha Adams can lead the Shockers to in her 3rd season. For now, we're going to take it to a quick break, but stay with us here at American Women's Basketball Media Day.
The American is committed to ending the stigma related to seeking help for mental health conditions.
If you have a mental health condition, know you're not alone.
Anxiety disorders are the most common mental health issues in the United States, and more than 30% of student athletes have experienced overwhelming anxiety.
Listen to your teammates and others about what they are going through.
Think about the words you choose, avoid labels, and use stigma-free language when communicating.
Build and use support systems with friends and family.
Asking for help can be difficult, but seeking help to improve your health, academic, or athletic performance or another goal is a sign of strength.
Hope.
Educate.
Awareness. Listen. Talk. Help.
There are resources on your campus and in your community for help.
The American, building healthy, powerful minds.
We are live in Philadelphia at the Airport Marriott talking all women's hoops on this beautiful Monday afternoon. We're now joined here on the set by Cincinnati head coach Michelle Clark-Hurd and senior guard Antoinette Miller. Coach, we'll start with you. In your first season leading this program, advanced to the WNIT quarterfinals, why were you able to get off to such a quick start with the group that you inherited?
Well, that little point guard sitting over here and the group, just buying into the staff and just really letting us be able to help take them to that next level, I think was the most exciting part. Just building those relationships and earning their trust.
Your team experienced success in year one, but where did your group grow the most, would you say, over the course of that first season?
I just think overall as a whole, with them understanding and knowing how good they could be and how every single day they learned how to come in and go to work so they could be the best that they could be.
We've heard Coach Antoinette, and she talked about you being part of the reason that she was able to be successful. But what did she say when she got there that allowed you to trust her?
I mean, she said a lot, but we know that her coach's track record, we know that she comes from building success, so it was just easy to trust in her. And she made you comfortable, and she you know, like through her passion that she just wants the best for you and your team. So she made it easy to trust in her.
Fantastic. Well, it certainly worked out well for you guys. You have the opportunity to play in the WNIT. You get to the quarterfinals, Coach. Getting to postseason, Antoinette, how special was that?
It was amazing, especially to go how far we did. It's just always great to be playing still postseason and just to experience that. But we still want more, so just...
To get more, Coach, we're looking at highlights of one Antoinette Miller now. What do you need from her this season?
I just need her to continue to keep growing every single day and bringing her teammates along. She can tell you every single day I challenge her. She leads a lot on the court, and I have really, really pushed her to be more vocal. And she's done a phenomenal job with all. We have a lot of new ones, and she's been very, very good with helping them and just talking to them a lot about myself and the staff and who we are and what we're trying to be to help them get to that next point. So I just need her to keep growing and keep being the Antoinette that she's been. And because last year it was a joy to coach her. It was so much fun to watch her grow. And I'm looking forward to her just growing more, her and her teammates.
Coming off the program's first 20-plus win season since 2003, what foundation does that give you to build off of with this year's group?
A big foundation. We are so excited about our future. We're so excited about the opportunity for us to grow and our culture to grow. And I think the most important thing is what we want to do as coaches is to continue to make the alumni and the players that we have right now very proud that they put on that Bearcat uniform.
You took that big step in year one. What does the next step look like for this program in year two?
For us to be able to win the games that we're supposed to go on the road and be successful, but also to put ourselves, we have a tough schedule ahead of us. So to try to get some of those, big wins that we need to win on our home court. So looking forward to that and just seeing how much they grow against all that great competition.
Obviously, media day, interviews, microphones, it's a little business-like, I get that. But Antoinette, how much fun is it? I mean, I can remember my team turning the corner and us getting into postseason, and you loved it. How much fun are you guys having?
Oh, we're having a lot of fun. You know, we're just, with so many new people, we're just growing together, and it's just a fun experience to just be around so many new personalities and just to see us come together as one. So it's really fun.
I'm going to put you a little bit in the coach seat. We got some highlights of your teammate, Angel Reiser. I want to know what you need from her as a point guard, making things work well for this Bearcat squad. What do you need from her this season?
Her energy. I mean, over the years, she's just grown tremendously, and she's become a great leader on the court. And I think her energy that she brings to the team is big because she helps fuel us, and she's a really big energy part of our team. So just her energy, her hustle, her heart, she shows it on the court. So we just need that.
I like that. I mean, when I look at what Angel does, the rebounding thing is huge for your program. All right, let's keep it going, Antoinette. You got your teammate here in Florence, Sifa. What we need? Come on, tell us.
I mean, Fofo, she's great. She's a great defender. She loves to get her teammates involved, and she is a really aggressive player. So just her grit and her energy, her athleticism, and just the things that she brings to this team is
fantastic.
Really great too.
Coach Florence, the conference newcomer of the year last season, but you look to your experience in junior Amari Thomas in her freshman year. She kind of took this league by storm. What are you expecting to see from her this season?
I think it's a great. I'm really proud of Amari and how she's grown and taking the challenge to step up even more because we're going to need that for our team. The opportunity for me to have a chance to coach, Antoinette and Amari and the Angels, and I tell you, every single day people ask me, and I think that's the most important thing, that they're also selfless, but they're in a situation where they understand and know what needs to be done for us to be successful. So I need Imari to understand that every day and come out every single day and bring that, because that will help us take us to another level.
Winning is always fun, but also getting to play back on campus last year in this beautiful brand new Fifth Third Arena. What was your first impression of that experience and being able to have that kind of facility at your disposal?
Wow. I mean, and for me, I'd coached there before as an assistant coach. And so when you say renovation, you think, okay, sometimes, skybox is adding a lot of different things, but it was they did an amazing job. It's a great feeling in there. It's like kind of electric because of how the seating is. So for us in our games, even in the beginning, we probably only, averaged maybe about 15 or 2,000 fans, and it feels just electric. And then when we got to our last postseason game, we had close to 3,500. It's just a really great experience and an atmosphere, and they come and they cheer us on, and they're just excited to be able to watch these amazing young ladies play.
That is fantastic. Coach, I know you talked about the newcomers, but when you look at it statistically, you do return a core, a solid core. You guys have experience, have won together. Are you guys having conversations about your expectations within one another?
Oh, for sure. We know it's a process. Bringing in 9 newcomers, that's always, it's always a process. And I think we just took it upon ourselves to try and help them and just make sure it's not like returners and then newcomers and we just gelling as one. So just taking that upon ourselves and just helping each other out.
Antoinette, for you, final question. What is one word that describes the character of this team heading into this season?
We have a motto. It's choices, and each letter stands for something. So I think that's something that we abide ourselves by. And
are you just going to tease us? What do the letters stand for?
So choices stands for challenge, heart, opportunity, intensity, commitment, energy, and sacrifice.
Coach,
I like that.
You did great.
I like that. I'm writing that down.
I'm excited about that because that is something that we talk about, and that's something that we want to pride our program on, and not just for 1 year, but who we stand for and what our program is going to always stand for.
Okay, give it to me one more time. I didn't catch them all. Commitment was the second C.
Yep.
Challenge.
Okay.
Heart. Opportunity. Intensity.
Commitment.
Energy and sacrifice.
Got it. Boom. I like that.
Okay, we'll think of those letters as we make our choices every single day. Best of luck to the both of you, especially here in your second season at Cincinnati. Looking forward to seeing what you all accomplish. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
All right, well, Basketball Media Day continues on in the beautiful city of Philadelphia, the sights of downtown Philly basketball, a great sport in this wonderful city. Monica, how great is it to be able to come in here to the Airport Marriott each and every season? Don't even have to leave this wonderful place, but to get to fly into Philly and have everybody gather here to talk about the season that is to come.
Listen, okay, so Media Day and then Midnight Madness, or whichever order it falls for various programs, just gets me so excited. And then the next week and a half, a little less than 2 weeks. It drives me crazy because I'm so ready. We just talked to Coach. We got choices. We talked to Coach Oriema. I mean, we talked to so many different players today. Listen, I'm so ready to throw the ball out and get to it. But I also do love our host city, Philadelphia. It's super easy. We come in, we have a great conversation, and then we roll out.
Fantastic place to be, but we've got a lot more hoops to get to, so let's move on and talk about SMU, the pick to finish 12th in this year's preseason poll. However, they're led by Travis Mays, who's in his 4th season, and he's aiming to take this program in a completely new direction. I had a chance to catch up with Coach Mays last night. Coach, as you gear up for this upcoming season, what is the direction you're looking to take this program in?
Well, I'm looking to be in the competition to make the NCAA tournament and, of course, try and win a conference title. I have a young team coming back without any seniors, but what I will say is we've had a great offseason. We worked extremely hard this summer, so I'm just looking forward to seeing what happens.
When you look at the talent that you have returning, who specifically are you looking to set the tone for this year's team?
Well, I think that's already been decided, and it's a pleasant surprise. Janasia Cash, who is one of our juniors, along with Ariana Whitfield, but Janasia has stepped up and blown the summer completely and just surprised everyone. And she's come back here in the early fall and just maxed out on every single thing, the weight room, the classroom, and on the court. So I'm looking for her to be a pleasant surprise in the league.
Ariana, a player that saw a lot of time last year, what sets her apart from other players on this team?
Well, Ariana has the ability to focus on the details. And she's a very skillful player, can really shoot the ball from outside, and she has a high basketball IQ. So her understanding of the game put her at a level of comfort, which gives our team quite a bit of poise. So hopefully we can use some of that experience this season.
When you look back at the off season, where is the area that you would say your team grew the most?
I would say communication. Right now our gym is loud. I think they're communicating extremely loud. They're able to give one another feedback and they're able to receive that. So I would say the communication factor, along with how they're working towards becoming a really, really good team.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck this season.
Thank you very much.
Monica, one of the players that Coach Mays will certainly look to this season as he hopes to take his program in the right direction here in 2019 is Kayla White, the sophomore guard. She was named to the American Athletic Conference All-Freshman team last season.
She was a top 20 scorer in this conference, averaging just over 11 points per game, and I think it's her quickness. She's got such a quick trigger. She's also very quick on her feet defensively. She can score at all three levels, whether it's getting in the paint or off the mid-range game and then shooting the three. That's an area where I would like to see her improve this season. But the energy, and talking with Coach Mays, Haley, you talked about how young his team is, but I think sometimes that can be a double-edged sword in that, yeah, it's a little frustrating and maybe takes a little bit more from the coaching staff, but I also think that there is a naivety about youth that can be sort of refreshing. I mean, this team should feel like we can go out and beat anybody. I mean, it doesn't really matter. They're young. They are not necessarily callous to some of the ebbs and flows and maybe taking some losses in conference play. So I think led by Kayla White, you've got Ariana Whitfield, and they've got pieces, and it's just a matter of figuring out how to stir the pot. The beauty of conference play, whether you're the first selected team or the last selected team, is that everybody has to go through it. And so games are not won in the preseason polls or even weekly. It literally is a game-to-game matchup. And Coach Mays is very proud of the arena where they play down there in SMU. So I think that this team could surprise some people at points this season and sneak up and get some games that maybe they weren't expected to.
All right, well, we are currently searching for USF head coach Jose Fernandez, so we're going to toss it to a quick break. But when we come back, we hope to be joined here on the set by the USF Bulls. Stay with us.
The American is committed to ending the stigma related to seeking help for mental health conditions.
If you have a mental health condition, know you're not alone.
Anxiety disorders are the most common mental health issues in the United States, and more than 30% of student athletes have experienced overwhelming anxiety.
Listen to your teammates and others about what they are going through.
Think about the words you choose, avoid labels, and use stigma-free language when communicating.
Build and use support systems with friends and family.
Asking for help can be difficult, but seeking help to improve your health, academic, or athletic performance or another goal is a sign of strength.
Hope.
Educate.
Awareness.
Listen. Talk.
Help.
There are resources on your campus and in your community for help.
The American, building healthy, powerful minds.
Welcome back. We're live here at Basketball Media Day. We were unable to find USF, so we grabbed the Houston guys instead. We're joined by head coach Ron Huey. Instead, we were going to get you guys anyways, but we moved you up in the line here. And senior guard Dorian Branch. Dorian, you're one of the seniors on this team, a second-team all-conference selection last year. How have you challenged yourself to take your game to the next level this season?
I just looked at the things that I did last year, and I wanted to get better at all those things. And I wanted to get better at other things as well. So I just worked hard this summer, tried to get in better conditioning than I've ever been in going into the senior year, and that's been the biggest change.
Coach, what makes her such a valuable asset to this program?
You know, the one thing from beginning to end is she's gained focus every single year. So now her focus has led to better leadership. So, I mean, when you talk about academics where she's over 3.0, when you talk about no off-the-court issues, when you talk about coming understanding what we want and what we expect with the standards that we have every day with expectations, she's that every single day. And so it's propelled her to where she is now.
All right, Dorian, let's take a look. You talk about getting better from last season. Let's check you out a little bit from last season. I understand you were working, but if you had to pick one area that you are improved in from this offseason, what is it?
It's definitely one dribble pull-up.
Okay, I love that because that is one of the most efficient and underrated moves in the game. You got a spot? Left side, right side? Does it matter?
Well, of course, from the right side.
Okay.
Because being right-handed shooter, you want to dribble with your left and right in the shooting pocket.
There you go. There you go. So in adding that to your game, as a team, what are you guys looking to do differently?
We're just looking to continue to push in transition. You know, we like to play fast, so as many defensive stops that we can get, forcing turnovers from the other team, we want to go in transition and then get into our sets quickly. And we like to play fast. We like to get shots up quickly in the shot clock, so we're just going to continue to do that.
Yeah, I'm with that.
Coach, for you, junior guard Julia Blackshelf-Fair, how much are you expecting her role to increase this season?
You know, she has to take on a major impact role for us because, again, we lost Angela Harris, who was a 1,000-point scorer, all that kind of stuff. But, again, Julia can do that plus more. So she has to step in and play multiple positions like Dorian can play the 1 through the 4. Julia has to do the same thing.
Looking at Tatiana Hill, your sophomore forward, she played in 30 games last season, averaged 5 points over 2 rebounds a game. She even earned some Freshman of the Week honors. What do you expect to see in her game this season now that she has a year of experience under her belt?
You know, she's a little bit more mature, and her growth has been tremendous for her. She got her body, first of all, in tremendous shape. Secondly, she's listening and being coached now. It's no more of, you know, I used to do it this way, and you're trying to change it, and, you know, those kind of things. And the third part is she's having an opportunity to listen to the upperclassmen like Dorian and them and say, okay, this is what I need to improve in, and take that and run with it. Where last year she was almost, y'all help me and baby me, where this year she's like, okay, I can embrace that and go.
As the senior leader on this squad, what do you know now that you just have to give yourself some patience when you look at some of the underclassmen, because you were there too, but what do you understand now as a senior that they might not yet?
It's just understanding game plans, understanding personnel. I know that we haven't really went over that too much yet because we haven't done a scouting report for the team that we're going to play, but I try and tell them in practice because we practice with practice boys every day. Like, if you know he can't shoot the ball, then close out, you know, shorter, because there's no reason to go all the way out there. When we play somebody in the game that's not necessarily a shooter, they'll know you don't close out, you know, strong and everything. So I think just knowing game plan, understanding game flow, like, it's going to be different than high school, no matter what you think. It's going to be different than AAU because you have to actually run plays. It's not free for all. So, I mean, it's just understanding the differences for college.
So, and then the focus then to execute.
Absolutely.
Got it.
Dorian, throughout your career, how much growth has this program shown in your time getting to play for Coach Ron Huey right now?
Well, freshman year was freshman year, and the following year we won 20 games, and I think last year we could have did that as well, but we just had some troubles that caused us to have a mediocre season. But I think this year we'll pick it back up to where it was sophomore year and even be better than that.
Coach, when you look at this year's team right off the bat, how would you describe their chemistry?
We're still building with it, you know, just because we've been having an opportunity. We have 4 transfers, so we've been playing them in the mix with our young ladies. We've filed the waivers, but we're planning not to have them, so if they do come through, we'll have them. But now we're going to get into the ones that we know are eligible to play and those kind of things, so that chemistry should pick up. But it's overall, I mean, everybody's athletic, everybody's talented. Now it's just understanding how we do things, why we do things, and the execution of the timing of why we have to have it done that way.
All right, well, thank you, Coach. Thank you, Dorian. Enjoy this season and your first full season getting to play on campus at the Fertitta Center.
Exactly, and we're really looking forward to that.
I bet. Well, we actually will have Dorian back on the show a little bit later, so stick around for that. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, earlier today, the preseason teams were announced. The co-players of the year in UCF's KK Wright and UConn's Crystal Dangerfield to have co-players of the year. How significant is that? And they're from two different teams. What does that set up for the year ahead?
It speaks to the work that both of these young ladies are doing. Crystal obviously on a program that has been known and renowned in women's basketball for quite some time. But KK Wright, man, I mean, her body of work in that UCF program continuing to take steps forward to get to the NCAA tournament. Last year they were in the NIT the 2 years prior. These are young ladies that have just been busting their butt to become better players. And you look at the rest of that list. Megan Walker is a kid that continues to take steps as well for UConn. Mia Davis, we know what she's able to do as a prolific scorer for Coach Tanya Cardoza. And then Crystal Freeman, the do-it-all down in New Orleans for Lisa Stockton's group. All of these young ladies have an incredible work ethic, and that's what that selection shows. And then you look at second team, we had an opportunity to talk to Antoinette Miller. I mean, to me, these are young ladies that ended up on second team just because first team was fine, right? Like, you could have a conversation depending on how the season goes, where you could shuffle up those two teams and you'd see different folks on different sides of it. But all of the young ladies on this list, and so many of the athletes in this conference are just so committed to their teams, to their crafts, and they come out and compete at a very high level, and it deserves to be recognized. Some excellent players around the American, and we have Dorian Branch back here on the set with us. It's like you never left. We just had you. We are also joined by Dr. Stephanie Coakley, who is the Senior Associate AD of Mental Health at Temple University. You look around today and you see everyone here supporting a great cause by the American Athletic Conference, and that is the Powerful Minds Initiative. So Dorian, let's start with you. You're the student athlete in this room helping push this initiative on your campus. For those at home that have something to learn about Powerful Minds, what exactly is this initiative and what is the goal?
Powerful Minds is a mental health initiative focusing on student athletes, the things that we go through on campus that are unseen. I think that it's just making athletes feel like it's okay to not be okay, and it's giving them extra resources on campus, giving them extra workshops, giving them just opportunities to be able to express their feelings on another level. Dr. Coakley, in your role, how do you support student athletes facing mental illness?
Well, at Temple, we have a very robust program for student-athlete wellness. And in this role, I have been able to just be a resource for student-athletes. I tell them, I'd rather you use us than not to use us, because, as Dorian mentioned, there's so many things that student-athletes experience that are unseen, but it affects so much. It affects them academically. It affects them certainly in their sport. It also affects them in their sleep. It affects so many aspects of who they are. And so I'd rather them use us. I'm so grateful to be in the position. And we have been very busy, so we have gotten that word out. They are using us.
How do you create an environment where student athletes feel comfortable bringing to your attention that they may be struggling with something?
Well, what we do is we go out. We're not just stuck in our offices, so we go to practices, we go to games, we go to events where student athletes are. We're in the training rooms occasionally. We're occasionally in the student athlete lounges. We're in the Resnick Center where they do academics. And so they see us. But the other part of that is that we have done a really good job of going to each team and letting each team, each coach know who we are, where we are, how you can access our services. And I think we also have really good staff who can relate to our student athletes, who care about our student athletes' well-being, not just in their sport, but the whole student athlete. It's been a campaign. Last year was my first year, so we were out and about quite a bit. And I believe that we were pretty successful because, like I said, we are being utilized.
When you look at the numbers across the country when it comes to mental health, they're pretty astounding. Dorian, what are student athletes on campus doing to help bring awareness to how serious of an issue this actually is?
We're doing small things. So like I said about the mental health workshops, the past 2 Wednesdays we've had a workshop, and I think that students are really appreciative of it. I've had people come and ask me, like, are we going to do this for the rest of the year, for the rest of the month? And I'm like, okay. Like, they're actually enjoying it, so let's continue to do that. I've also spoke with our student government on campus, so they do things in the middle of campus where they set up booths and everything to let other people know what's going on. And so we're going to try and do that. We're going to try and spread it around campus so people outside of the student athletes know about it.
I have had my mom and folks older than me kind of say, you know, you kids are totally cool discussing that. In today's climate, Dorian, even though there's still a little bit of push maybe to get athletes to understand that even as an athlete you don't have to push through everything, how normal is it to have a conversation with one of your peers on campus and just say, hey, like, I could use a little bit of extra help right now?
Well, I think that it's getting more normalized now. I don't think that it's always been. I think that people are just always taught when you're an athlete you have to be strong all the time. And so I think once they realize, like, I don't have to be strong and there are resources on campus that I can use, I think that it makes them more comfortable talking to their peers about it, and then their peers want to help other peers that they know are going through those same struggles.
The transparency then becomes very powerful, Dr. Coakley.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to change the narrative, and right now I want to change the narrative to it is strength. There is strength in seeking help for what it is that you're experiencing. And I think that if we start to use that kind of language, we'll even get more and more buy-in from not just only student athletes, but coaches. You know, coaches are people too. Other people in the athletic department, so that ideally it's a trickle-down approach and everybody is in a great mental, emotional space to do this work.
What are some of the signs that you encourage people to look out for? You know, we may wake up one day and think, hey, this might be normal. So what are some of the signs that people kind of have to decide that this is normal life and this is something that I can actually better my life by getting help with?
Absolutely. One of the things is if you have a preponderance of like some thoughts that make you sad, thoughts that make you anxious. So changes in your thinking style, pattern, changes in your behavior, sleeping too much, not sleeping enough, failing to go to class, doing things that are you, but you're no longer really doing them. So thoughts, behaviors, and emotions. High levels of any emotion that could become problematic, we want you to come in and do a check-in. I mean, that's what we'd like to do. I always say, nothing has to be wrong with you to want to be better.
I like that, Doctor.
Yes, nothing has to be wrong. And if we can allow people the space to come in and do wellness checks, maybe we can avoid some of the more challenging behavioral and emotional outcomes that we've seen in our past.
Love that.
Dorian, you were on the SAC board, so one last thing. For people to find out more information about mental health awareness, what the SAC group is doing, and how they can kind of find out more about it on campus, where are some of the places on social media that they can find this information? I'm giving you guys a chance to plug here.
Well, to give our social media some more interaction, we have a Twitter page and an Instagram page, American SAC.
All right.
Follow those pages, please. We've been posting a lot. That's our main goal this year, is to be more active on those pages, so for the conference and individually at each institution.
All right, we'll give this group a follow, American_SAC, to learn more about Powerful Minds and the Mental Health Initiative at the American Athletic Conference. Thanks, Dr. Coakley. Thanks, Dorian. Appreciate having you both here. All right, we are going to send it to a quick break, and when we come back, we will have more here at American Women's Basketball Media Day.
The American is committed to ending the stigma related to seeking help for mental health conditions.
If you have a mental health condition, know you're not alone.
Anxiety disorders are the most common mental health issues in the United States, and more than 30% of student athletes have experienced overwhelming anxiety.
Listen to your teammates and others about what they are going through.
Think about the words you choose, avoid labels, and use stigma-free language when communicating.
Build and use support systems with friends and family.
Asking for help can be difficult, but seeking help to improve your health, academic, or athletic performance or another goal is a sign of strength.
Hope.
Educate.
Awareness.
Listen.
Talk.
Help.
There are resources on your campus and in your community for help.
The American, building healthy, powerful minds.
Welcome back to Philadelphia, where we are live at American Women's Basketball Media Day. This coaches roundtable just behind us wrapping up, but you can catch more action going on Twitter at American_WBB. Those roundtables hosted by Andy Katz. Monica, let's talk about Tulane. They're picked to finish 7th in the preseason poll this season, and head coach Lisa Stockton will look to get her team back to competing in postseason play. The good news for Coach Stockton is that the Americans' most improved player from last season returns in Crystal Freeman, and you had a chance to catch up with her last night.
Crystal, you pick up the award for most improved last year. What do you credit the tremendous jump from year 1 to year 2 for you?
I think I just give the credit to my teammates and my coaches, because they're nothing but uplifting and they have all the tools to get you where you need to be. So I just give it to them, honestly.
You know, I love that. As a teammate, I love that answer. But you had to be putting in some work in the gym, or for you, was it about opportunity? Because the minutes that you played also went up significantly as well.
I think it was the summer between going into sophomore year. I was able to just focus on what I needed to focus on, and whatever I was lacking, like they said, it was my defense. So that's the only thing I focused on. Every single practice we had in the summer, I didn't really care about scoring and stuff. That just came with it whenever the time, when my time came.
So at this point, all eyes are definitely on you. There's no secret about Crystal Freeman at Tulane. How do you follow up going into this season?
Just remaining humble and just keep working and just trying to expand my game. And I mean, having the team that I have this year with them around me, I think I'll be fine personally.
Is that pressure at all?
I don't feel any pressure, but I mean, there's always a little bit, but I don't feel it right now, at least.
You're one of those people that pressure turns into diamonds, apparently, huh?
I guess so.
All right, on the team conversation, you guys obviously putting in good work in this offseason. What are you most excited about in terms of the difference from this year's group and last year's group?
This year's group, I think everyone has just a different mentality going into this season. Last season, it didn't turn out the way we wanted it to, but this year, we're not losing many people, and I think we've just added more people to our team. So I think having them and just the different vibe of the team is just going to bring us higher than last year.
Camaraderie sounds like it'll be a strength, and familiarity with the conference. How will you guys continue to push each other as you get past the non-conference schedule into conference play and sort of the ebb and flow of the season?
Well, like I was saying, we didn't really lose anyone, so a lot of us know what to expect. So we know if we hit a wall, we know that we know how to overcome it. We know what steps we need to take to overcome it, and just keep pushing ourselves to just keep working hard.
You've definitely shown in this interview that you are a fantastic team player. So who are some of your teammates that maybe are a little bit under the radar that folks need to keep an eye on as far as Green Wave basketball is concerned?
That kind of made me laugh. I think we have a transfer. I think she's going to be pretty good for us if she can play. Her name's Arsula Clark, and I think Dinah, she's going to do some good things this season. And even Aaron, and I could really go in.
Come on, let's go.
Okay, Aaron Gutierrez and Sierra, and Manu. Oh my gosh, Manu can really shoot the ball. That's no secret. So, all of them, Kayla. Oh my gosh, I could really go in. Okay, I'm sorry, but yeah, I am excited about this team. But I think we'll do pretty well.
All right, I can see the excitement. We're gonna let you go on this note. I need 2 words to describe this team going into the season and why.
I guess the first word is positive. We just try and stay so positive and obviously we keep it real with each other, but it's not to where it's not negative. It's just positive, and then I just think we're gonna be fun to watch. Everyone can bring something to the table. Literally everyone. If if you gave me a name, I could tell you something like about them. Like, so I just think fun and positive.
Fun and positive. Well, we're excited to see it, Crystal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Loved that conversation, Haley, with Crystal Freeman. I mean, anytime a kid goes from 2 to 14, then you know there's impressive improvement and work being done in that offseason. I love her aggressiveness and the way that she plays basketball. She picks her spots. You see the numbers on screen, but what you don't see is that she shoots 50% from the field. You talk about picking your spots and understanding your angles. I mean, this is a kid that totally understands what she's able to do on the basketball court. And she's right. This team actually does return a large core. And if you look at their roster, when you talk height, they're going to have some pretty solid size in the conference or just in general on their squad. Then secondly, we want to take a look at Sierra Cheatham, who is a three-point specialist, shooting just about 35% from behind the arc. I love the tandem of Freeman and Cheatham because Cheatham will be able to create some space because you have to honor her as a shooter, which gives room for Crystal to get in there and go to work. And then lastly, we got to talk about Dina Jones, Dina Jones, who Crystal mentioned in her interview. And she's a kid who I'm looking to take the next step in a couple of areas. I'd like to see her be a little bit more of a presence in terms of rebounding at that small guard position, and then of course continuing to dish the rock for Coach Stockton's squad. She's going to have weapons who are in a position to score. I want to see her find her teammates as well and get on the glass as well. Of course, she'll continue to score. I expect those points to go up.
Tulane picked to finish 7th in the American preseason coaches poll, and we are now joined here by the pick to finish 2nd, and that is the USF Bulls. We have finally found them. We're now joined by head coach.
We were looking for y'all.
We were looking for you. Head coach Jose Fernandez and junior guard Ennepa Hadgett. Coach, headed into your 20th season at USF. Heading into a year where you returned 7 starters and 75% of your scoring, how much are you looking forward to building off of a foundation that you were hoping to create last season?
Yeah, it was an interesting year last year. We were picked 2nd, and we definitely, with everything that we went through, still winning 19 games and going to the WNIT was a huge success, I thought.
Anna, we'll go with you. So you had to carry a lot of the workload last year, especially with the amount of injuries that your team faced. How did that help you grow as a player, kind of having to carry a lot of that weight on your shoulders?
I mean, I saw an opportunity just came to me right away, and I just thought I had to grab it and take advantage of it, and that's what I tried to do.
And you did it very well. But, Coach, I want to go back because you made that opening statement so matter-of-factly. In so many ways, you had to throw Anna into the fire, maybe a little bit prematurely. I'm sure it stretched you out as a coach dealing with all of the injuries and such from last year. How much better is this squad having experienced that adversity last year?
Well, when we were sitting here last year, okay, I know we had a lot of national attention, being picked as high as 15th in the country. And we opened up the season at Ohio State, which we played very well. We come back home. We have a couple wins against Oklahoma and UCLA. And those 5 that started against Ohio State on the opening night, at one point we had 60 points out of our lineup. But then, you know, us coaches talk to our kids all the time. You have to be ready when opportunity comes. You can't get ready when that opportunity comes. And Anna was a big part of that. And she stepped right in, played a lot of minutes, had to be our go-to guy down the stretch at a lot of times. But again, the amount of minutes that Tamara Henshaw and Shea Leverett had to play, Pinzan's freshman starting, Septi. So we played on a lot of guys that we didn't think were going to be in those major roles. So leading into this year, just going to make us better with all these kids coming back that had so much experience, and the guys that were hurt coming back. And I think we got a really, really nice recruiting class as well to add to the returners.
Coach, can you look? Oh, go ahead.
And a coach sees it one way. I'm sorry, Haley. Coach sees it one way. He had a plan. But for you literally, the first thing you said was it was an opportunity. Being able to capitalize on the opportunity, how had you prepared?
I stayed in the gym before and after practice. I watched film. I trusted my coaches. I trusted my teammates. They trusted me, and that kind of helped me build up my confidence. And that's where it all started. And just realize that it's a process. I'm not going to be a go-to guy in one day, but it comes over a time of period with the amount of work you put in every day. So I kind of just trusted the process and the people around me.
Coach, you look at your strength of schedule this year, and certainly a challenge on the non-conference side. both for you and for UConn. But you guys this year, you have Texas, Baylor, Notre Dame, Mississippi State. The only people you forgot to schedule from the Final Four was Oregon, really. Why is it important for your group to be tested like this early on in the non-conference set?
Well, you're still missing South Dakota State and Florida Gulf Coast, 2 NCAA tournament teams. You want to challenge your team. You want to challenge your team in November and December, and to create as many opportunities to put them in a position to pick up top 25, top 50 wins, and it's only going to help your strength of schedule.
Oh, go ahead. Keep going. Sorry.
Again, you know, we spend so much time recruiting student athletes and recruiting kids to our program, telling them, hey, we're going to play a great, exciting style. We play one of the best schedules in the country. People are going to come watch us play. We're going to be on TV. So we'd be doing a disservice to them if we wouldn't put them in front and having these opportunities to play this type of schedule.
For sure, and I know as a player, you're looking forward to going and getting some national attention on those ones. All right, I got to put you through the rigmarole at your own scouting report here. We're going to look at some highlights of you. Tell me, what's the strength of your game?
I think my pull-up jumper.
Yes, it's smooth, honey. Yeah. I agree. Go ahead, what else?
For sure, my pull-up jumper, I mean, catch and shoot, I guess.
Okay,
but
yes, come on, confidence.
Guess, yeah. I honestly think sometimes I have games where I can rebound when I go up here, like I'm going aggressive to the basket to grab some boards. But definitely I feel super comfortable coming off screen with a 1-2 dribble pull-up shot.
Okay, so we got solid footwork. I do think with your size, maybe this year we up those rebounds per game a little bit?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to throw, should we go over to coach for Harvey, or you want to stay here and then give us a scout on your own teammate?
Sydney, she's a fast point guard. She's fast. She can definitely get to the basket. She can shoot. She's good at finishing contact. I mean, she impressed me as a freshman coming in, how she contributed to the team and leading this team. So a strong finisher around the basket for sure.
Now, you guys seem to be at your best, coach, when you're able to get up and down the floor, I think.
Without a doubt. You know, if we can get out and score early and get some early rim runs for our post players, and there's a drive to the basket and an open three, of course. But, you know, after that, if we don't get something in transition, we want to get our players in the best spaces and take advantage of matchups in what we run offensively.
Coach, we heard Anna talk about how she grew throughout the course of the season and facing adversity. How did you watch her grow as a player and a leader on this team, and why are you looking forward to having her on your side this year?
Well, she had no choice but to grow. So, you know.
What part of her game grew?
Well, I think that the biggest thing that I saw her grow, because she'll tell you I was extremely hard on her, and there's a reason why you push players. And she had a lot of success last year. But no one questions the amount of time that she puts in, and that's what you want to see, because when you invest in your game, you want to see some reward out of it. And she just lived in the gym and she watched tape, and the biggest thing with her was it was her time, and when her time came, she shined.
Indeed, she did. All right, Coach, we got a little bit more video. Your two other players that are here with you, standing off to the side. Tamara Henshaw is one who I've loved watching grow in your program, and we got Shea Leverett here. Whose video is this specifically for? I think this is
Shea Leverett.
What do you need from her this season for you guys to be successful?
Well, she's going to have to defend without fouling. You know, we got a really tough schedule in the early part of the year where we're going to Tamara, Shea, and also Jordal, where we need them to stay and defend and wall up and defend without fouling, and also do a great job on the rebounding end. And that's always been a staple of our program, on how well we rebound on both sides of the floor. If they can go ahead and run and get stuff off the glass and give us second and third opportunities. And T's our only senior on this year's team.
How is she balancing sort of the urgency of being a senior, the responsibility that comes with that, and also sort of enjoying the ride? Because she's really grown year by year under you. She's grown, and last year she finished, she scored 7 and 8. And we got 4 very talented football players. Big thing is evening out those minutes and keeping all 4 of those guys healthy. Because, you know, T's been hampered by injuries every year. But again, she always finds a will and a way to get back on the floor and give us the minutes that we need.
Tamara, the conference's freshman of the year in 2016. Hard to believe she's in her senior season now.
Look at that.
I know. And looking back, we talked about the adversity from last season, but how strong is the chemistry of this year's team as you look ahead to the coming year?
I mean, first of all, we have 11 internationals, so we have a lot of kids coming away from home. So we kind of have to build the locker room where we live as your home. And I feel like that we're coming so far from different countries just makes our bond stronger. And then, of course, in Americans, we had in to help us kind of get integrated into American culture, because there's some things that are hard to understand, you know. So I feel like the way we help and support each other because we're so far is definitely what makes us strong.
I saw the picture, either the team account put out, or I don't know, maybe it was your account. Everybody was watching the finals game supporting Courtney.
Yes.
Did you guys cook and bring different dishes that night? Was it also an international night?
No, Coach loves pizza.
Oh, okay,
so
American pizza.
That was on
You
the
asked me
menu.
about pizza earlier.
I did. Where's my pizza?
What is it with you and pizza? Well, thank you so much. Looking forward to the season ahead. Best of luck to the both of you in the coming year.
Thanks,
Appreciate
guys.
it. Speaking of the WNBA, and Courtney Williams, just one of the great alums from the American Conference, graduated from USF just a few years ago. Monica, American players in the WNBA. Nafisa Collier and Katie Lou Samuelson, the most recent to go in last year's WNBA draft. For Nafisa Collier, she was named the WNBA's Rookie of the Year this season.
And if you were plugged into WNBA Twitter at points, this was a hotly contested debate whether it should go to Nafisa Collier or Arike Ogumawale, who plays for the Dallas Wings. I talked to a handful of WNBA analysts who are really embedded in this thing that really felt like hands down it was going to be fee for this award because of what she was doing in Minnesota and how she was doing it. I know there was a big conversation at the point guard spot is the toughest to play, yada, yada, yada. It goes to Nafisa. But then you look at the rest of that list. Katie Lou, Gabby Williams, Stephanie Dolson, all with the Chicago Sky. That was a team that was a crazy basket away, courtesy of the Erica Hamby, from advancing in the WNBA playoffs. And their head coach, James Waite, was actually Coach of the Year. And then you saw our girl, Courtney Williams, on that list of the Connecticut Sun. My favorite part of the finals probably had to be Courtney Williams mic'd up, because she brought so much energy to that Connecticut Sun squad, not to mention that she was playing out of her mind in terms of the energy and the tenacity with which she attacked the basket, with which she uplifted her teammates, and how she always was ready to step up in the big moments. But it speaks to what we have in this conference. Those young ladies all listed were players under Coach Auriemma, bona fide. Coach Jose Fernandez, bona fide, and a pizza lover. So they have an opportunity to cut their teeth in such a tremendous conference. And scouts and coaches in the WNBA know that they can come and find potential pieces for their roster in this conference.
13 former American players currently active on WNBA rosters, so pretty neat. All right, let's keep the talk here, though. Current players here at American Women's Media Day. Let's move on, Monica, and talk about Temple. The Owls picked to finish 6th in this year's preseason poll. And one thing that really stands out about Temple is they have really great size on their roster. They have 7 players 6 feet or taller.
That is going to be tremendous for Coach Cardozo's squad. I mean, we're accustomed to seeing Temple have guards that really dominate, but this year, you look at someone like Mia Davis, they have big guards. And so not only do they have quality size, which should give them an advantage in terms of rebounding, but they also will be able to pound the rock, get into their shooters' pockets, and find one another in great positions. I think that this team is going to take a significant jump this year. We know that in the past she had to struggle with some of her marquee players suffering through some injuries, but if Mia Davis stays healthy, I mean, I think she's going to be a key cog. She's someone who's on preseason and postseason lists, and she talked about her team really just kind of having fun and embracing the whole process in terms of taking the next step. And she even talked about the mental toughness that is required in order to be successful.
Well, this is a great segue. You mentioned Mia Davis. Let's hear from Mia Davis. You had a chance to catch up with her last night.
Mia, Media Day 2019-2020 season is on the horizon. What are you most excited about?
I'm just most excited about just getting in the rhythm again for the season, playing the games, practicing, getting better every day.
All right, so you're now a junior,
yes,
officially an upperclassman, but you did some spectacular things in your first 2 years. 5 double-doubles as a freshman, 12 as a sophomore. Is there a number for your junior year?
No, it's not a number for my junior year.
All right, but that obviously speaks to your ability to be tremendously efficient and make things happen. What goes into both rebounding and being an efficient scorer for you?
Some things I just focus on is like just coming to game focused, doing all the little things, helping my teammates out, just giving a shout out to my teammates because they are the ones that get things moving for me.
All right, so conference obviously presents its own challenges, but before we get to conference play, is there anything you're looking forward to in the non-conference slate so far?
Our non-conference is always like tough, like opponents, so we always look forward to it because we have South Carolina. For Thanksgiving break, we have North Carolina, so we like the tough games to get us ready for the conference play.
If you had to describe the offseason this year for your unit, you're an upperclassman, you got a whole squad behind you. I know you guys are putting in work this season. How would you describe it?
This offseason, One word I would describe it is we worked hard, so a hard working off season.
Okay. Are you having fun, Mia?
Yes, I'm having fun.
What's the thing that folks should know about this Temple squad heading into this season, besides the fact that y'all worked very hard in the off season?
One thing you should know about our squad is that we're ready to overcome any challenges that we had before, and we're just looking to get better, win more games.
All right, last question for you, Mia. We talked about you being an upperclassman now. Officially, nobody can say she's talented, but she's young. You now are seasoned. How much have you grown? What do you know now that you couldn't have really understood as a freshman and sophomore?
One thing I didn't know as a freshman and sophomore is how important is your mental health, because in high school that wasn't really a big thing, but I feel as though in college that carries over a lot, because like to not get out of the game and get down on yourself, you got to be mentally focused and tough.
All right, so we're talking about mental toughness. I love that. That's the mature junior leader.
Yes.
All right, Mia, best of luck this season. Thanks.
Thank you.
Mia and I had a few jokes we shared prior to that interview, but I thought that answer that she shared about mental toughness and mental wellness was important, and you can see that she's someone that plays the game with a tremendous amount of focus. I mean, this is a kid that essentially is a double-double machine. She had 12 last season, and you see she's 0.8 off from averaging a double-double. I asked her for a number this year. She didn't quite give it to me, but I think her tenacity and the way she approaches the game will trickle down through the rest of the squad. You look for someone like Marissa Mackins to take her game to the next step with this group this year.
Yeah, Mia Davis named to the first team all-conference at the conclusion of last season. Moving on to Shantae Taylor. She's a senior forward, Monica. She started in 20 of 26 games last year for Temple. She even tied a career high of 16 points in the American Conference first round game against Memphis.
57% from the field. Okay, so she understands her size, she understands positions on the floor. She's someone who is a force to be reckoned with inside of the paint, and Coach Cardozo does a great job of getting her the ball in her spot. As she continues to matriculate and be even more of a presence for the squad, I'm wondering if we can take both those numbers up and get closer to some of those double-double numbers for her, just because of her ability to be so efficient. She's going to have guards out on the perimeter who are going to have the green light to launch the ball, so that puts her in opportunities to rebound and also keeps them honest to give her space inside the paint to work. And then we got Lena Nie, someone who is just long and wiry. I'm really looking forward to her taking the next step. She can shoot that three in transition. She also does a great job of rebounding, although those numbers, that graphic, 3 rebounds per game, I'd like to see her take that to the next level, but she's got the body type to do that. She'll have the green light to crash the glass under Coach Cardozo.
I mean, Monica, all 3 of those players that we just looked at, 6 feet or taller, so rebounding should be something in this wheelhouse.
I mean, they are not just that 6 foot or taller where it's kind of stuck and can't move their feet. You watch all 3 of those young ladies' highlights, Shantae Taylor being the biggest, they all can move their feet. So this is a team that you might see get a little bit more action in transition this year maybe than we've seen in the past, just because they're going to create some mismatch problems.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk Tulsa, picked to finish 10th in this year's preseason poll. They're led by 9th-year head coach Matilda Mossman. And she has a talented cast returning. This is a group that, according to Mossman, has really grown since last season, and I had to catch up with Coach last night. Coach, when you look ahead to this season, what excites you the most about the talent that you have returning on this year's roster?
Well, I think, first of all, the fact that almost everybody from last year is back. You know, we lose Crystal Polk from the inside, but all of our guards are back. Kendra and Elliott is back and much improved, and we're kind of back to her sophomore year again. So that in itself makes it very exciting.
What qualities specifically does this team possess that makes them a good group to coach?
Well, first of all, there's a huge buy-in, and they're very committed to each other. They play together really well. And the number of possessions that we've had where they share the ball, and when you have to tell somebody they should have taken the shot instead of made another pass, that means they're sharing the ball pretty well.
You mentioned you have a good group of returners on this team. Who are you looking to step up and be the leader and set the tone for your group this season?
Well, I think it starts with Kendra and Elliott and Alexis Golden. You got your point guard and your post player, and then we can fill in the spaces around them. But I think both of them are very motivated to leading our team, very motivated to taking charge, and we're excited about those two.
Where will you see the growth in your program this season?
Well, I think in that sophomore class, we had a couple of guys start for us last year, and now, as freshmen, and now they're sophomores, and just seeing their growth and knowing what their potential is, I think that's what we're looking at the most.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck this season.
All right, thank you.
Monica, and hearing from head coach Matilda Mossman, she's looking forward to coaching this group and especially some of the returners on this year's roster. One of those being senior guard Alexis Golden. She started in 29 of 31 games last season for the Golden Hurricanes. 17 of those, she scored in double figures.
She was the second leading scorer on this team under Crystal Polk, who has moved on to graduation. But Alexis will naturally have to take the next step if this squad wants to win. And I don't think it's that big of a step because she worked so closely with Crystal last season. I mean, she's a kid that gave you almost 12 points a game and 5 rebounds, as you saw there, but she has the ability to stretch the floor. I think she's great off of screens, and she's fantastic off the dribble. I would like to see her give me a little bit more from behind the arc this season, but Morgan Brady is someone who you don't need more from behind the arc. She's close to 40% from 3. I mean, she has worked on her jumper, and then the fact that she also can get to the rim and finish just makes defenses have to play her truly honestly. Don't miss out on her on a catch and shoot situation because that thing is going up and more than likely it's going in. Then you gotta check out this young lady here, Liskay. Look at the way she's able to use angles. She attacks the basket baseline there, averaging almost 7 points and a couple of rebounds for her squad. I'm looking for her to step up in the rebounding category. I mean, I think when you look at Tulsa, they're a group that's going to have to create more second chance opportunities and eliminate second chance opportunities from defenses. So they do a good job of getting out in transition, but I would like to see them dominate on the glass a little bit more, create some separation.
All right, we'll see what Tulsa can do in the season to come. Let's move on and talk about Memphis. They're led by 12th year head coach Melissa McPherron, and the one interesting thing about Memphis, Monica, especially heading into this season, is Melissa McPherron put together one of the top recruiting classes in this conference.
So exciting. I mean, Memphis is a great city. The Tigers have a great program. Melissa McPherron, you mentioned she's been doing this for 12 years. She actually recruited me when she was back at American in the Washington, D.C. area, or in the city, rather. She's a coach that knows the landscape of women's basketball, and I think we talk about those second-tier teams when we look at the preseason poll. Memphis, to me, has been a team that's been right there for whatever reason in terms of kind of jumping up and stealing a couple games. And perhaps with the additions of this recruiting class that's highly touted, this might be the year where you see the Tigers sneak out a few games that you wouldn't necessarily anticipate otherwise.
One of the veterans that head coach Melissa McPherron will look to is sophomore guard Jamira Schutz, and Monica caught up with Jamira last night.
We're here at Media Day in Philadelphia getting ready for the season with Jamira Schutz. You had an outstanding year last year. No one could say that you were not productive. What have you been focused on in the offseason to take your game to the next level this year?
Leadership. I've been working hard each and every day on my outside shooting, leading the team, more communication, everything.
That's a lot to take on as just a sophomore. How do you balance? You still want to be productive and make sure you're making it happen in terms of the physical things as a team, but the leadership part takes a lot of thought. How are you focusing on the leadership?
I mean, really, my teammates around me, even the ones that don't lead, even the new players, they help me. So it's really not me taking on full responsibility because I have people around me that helps me. So.
We talked about some of the new players this year. You guys have 8 newcomers. How exciting is the buzz around the Memphis Tigers squad?
It's very exciting. I mean, some of the top recruits. We have Madison Griggs, Lynetta. I mean, it'll be great.
Now, I know everybody in conference play wants to add more wins to that win column. What is something as a unit you guys have focused on in order to be more successful this season?
Being committed each and every day, working hard, taking no plays off, no days off. So.
I love that. All right, we're going to let you go on this one. I need 2 words and why to describe the Memphis Tigers going into the 2019-2020 season.
Get ready. Everyone around us better get ready.
All right, Jamira, we're looking forward to seeing you in action this year.
Thank you.
So the funny backstory on that one is Jamira wasn't exactly feeling that interview, but I applaud her for getting in gear. She did a great job. You can tell she's a kid that just wants to get the basketball and an opportunity. Say less, as the kids say. And she was productive last year. You see the numbers that she bared out there on the screen. She shot about 33% from the field and got to the free throw line. Now this year, if I were to challenge her, I would want to see her shoot a higher clip from the free throw line. Because of her skill set, she's going to take contact. 68% from my guard that's leading my team in terms of scoring. I'd like to see that number closer to 80 from the free throw line. And then Alana Davis is her teammate who is actually here with her as well. Second leading scorer from last year's group, 50% from the field. You talk about staying in your bag and in your role and not trying to act out of character. Alana Davis knows exactly where her sweet spots are, whether it's that mid-range pull-up jumper, coming off or rolling when she sets a screen, or in there banging with the bigs and crashing the boards. She's been a tremendous and stable presence for Coach McPherron's group. Then lastly, we got Gasman Herndon. I'm expecting this young lady to take a leap. I mean, if this team is going to turn a corner, it's very simple. She's the kid that has to take a leap and take her game to the next level. She shot 37% from the three-point line last year, which is very, very impressive. I would like to see her continue to shoot the ball with confidence. And then the one thing about the guards that McFerrin seems to recruit, they can all get to the paint and finish. But for me, Jasmine, up in those numbers, maybe around 10 points per game, still being a prolific weapon from behind the arc. And then, of course, I'm just going to tell everybody to rebound more. You can't ever have too many rebounds to create, whether it's second chance opportunities for your team or eliminating second chance opportunities for the other group. This group is young, and I know sometimes we look at youth as something that's a little bit more frustrating to deal with, but I think it also allows you to have some naivete, which can be graceful in that I have every expectation that we're going to run the table, that we're going to win. Why not?
Well, one of the most exciting things probably for head coach Melissa McFerrin is that in Jamira Schutz, she returns the leading scoring freshman in the conference from last season, and she was a unanimous selection to that all-conference team. So maybe young, but bright future ahead, especially for some of the players on this roster. All right, well, let's take a look back at the preseason poll. This was announced earlier this afternoon. UConn, the overwhelming favorite to win their 7th straight American Championship title in their final year in the American Athletic Conference. But Monica, recapping, when you look back at this group, USF's the team we're used to seeing up there. UCF's the team that has taken that step forward each season under Coach Katie Abrahamson-Henderson. Cincinnati, an exciting first year under head coach Michelle Clark-Hurd. Who of this group are you expecting to see finish near the top?
I really want to be like super fancy and say something other than what the preseason poll says, but I actually think in large part I'm going to agree. The biggest wrinkle, I think Cincinnati has a shot to finish a little bit higher. USF, UCF, you honestly could flip-flop those, but I think for me what will be an indicator of the success of this conference is if it becomes a three-bid opportunity when we get to the NCAA tournament time. We already talked about the non-conference schedules of both UConn and USF. UCF's non-conference is not quite as heavy-hitting, but they do go and play some games that I think will boost their RPI. If they take care of business, protect home and conference, do what they're supposed to do on the road, they've got a shot. I mean, the landscape of women's college basketball in general continues to change and to shift. And literally, you take advantage of every opportunity you get. You never know what might happen. Last year, we got 2 teams in. This year could be a three-bid year, and so that's something that I'm keeping an eye on.
Real quick, when you look at the poll, those 2-3 teams are the Florida schools, USF and UCF. Now with USF returning so many players and sitting at that point where they're healthy, how heated can we expect that rivalry to be in the state of Florida this year?
I can't wait because UCF, Knights Nation, loves to take away exactly what the South Florida Bulls want to do in terms of getting up and down the floor, we heard Coach Fernandez say, and play fast. Knight Nation wants to get up in your face, turn you over before you get to the half-court line, and completely disrupt your flow. So I'm looking forward to the matchup between Anna and KK. I mean, in terms of that guard play, I mean, Tamara Henshaw, Masini Kaba, battling inside the paint. I mean, that is going, ooh, I'm getting excited.
Might have to watch that
one.
game together. All right. Well, American Women's Basketball Media Day is starting to come to a close here in Philadelphia. Our show is coming to an end, but the coverage doesn't stop quite yet. You can head over to Twitter at American_WBB to catch this final roundtable hosted by Andy Katz. It's been a great day talking American hoops across this league. Looking forward to all that is to come. Thanks so much for joining us on Facebook and spending your Monday with us. On behalf of Monica McNutt and the entire crew, I'm Haley Out.